Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. Lone Wolf Paintball is an online supplier that has been around for a very long time. They've actually been Michigan's premier paintball field and supplier since 1987. Now expanding into the online retail store, they are really trying to do their best to supply everything you need to the paintball community. They have it all. You get over to lonewolfpaintball.com. If you want Field 1, HK, GI, Dye, it doesn't matter. They got it. You can surf the website. You can check it out. They have what you need, guaranteed. And they also boast excellent customer service and same-day shipping. That's pretty badass. You could go to the website, order something, and it's going to be sent out that day. That's fantastic. That's amazing customer service. So again, guys, if you would like, you could head over to lonewolfpaintball.com. You could also check them out on YouTube and Instagram. Their Instagram is lonewolfpb, and their YouTube is Lone Wolf Paintball. And you can see and keep up to date with all their latest deals, their sales, their content. It's a lot of really fun stuff. Play the Game Podcast is excited to have them on board, and you guys should head over and become part of the community. All right. This episode is brought to you by G2 Paintball. G2 Paintball is back, and you guys should be incredibly excited. If you are in the area, in Arizona or anywhere on the West Coast, you want to make sure you do not miss this. Being in paintball shape is one of the most important things to being a top-level player. Not just a top-level pro, but a top-level player in any division. If you are trying to win tournaments, you want to be in the best physical condition possible. Paintball is so physically demanding. It requires so much of your physical ability, and G2 Paintball is designed to help you maximize that potential both on and off the field. G2 Paintball played a huge role in our World Cup win. It pays dividends to get out there and do these exercises, do these kinds of training. It is so difficult. It is very tough, but it is going to put you in position to win events, and that's what we're here to do. I teach this at all of my clinics. I always preach the importance of physical fitness in paintball ability. You can get all the way to the finals, but if you are only at 60% and a less talented, less skilled, less experienced team is at 90 or 100%, they are likely going to beat you. Do not let your physical ability be the reason you guys are not winning events. Get signed up for G2. If you guys are in the area, make sure you get active, get involved. It is owned and operated by Victor Gamboa and Rusty Glaze. You have players like Tyler Harmon, myself, Ryan Greenspan, all part of the entire G2 program. You guys can stay up to date with everything at g2paintball.com, and we hope to see you at an event very soon. This episode is brought to you by Transfuse. Transfuse is the only all-natural electrolyte drink that you guys need to have in your cabinets. We love this stuff. We've been using this for an entire season now. This stuff is amazing. I feel great when I drink Transfuse. I drink it every single day. I don't go a day without putting a packet of Transfuse in my water. It's very easy, very portable, easy to travel with, and delicious to drink, which means that you're going to love drinking it and you're going to drink more of it, which is going to be incredibly beneficial to your health. Has magnesium, potassium, sodium, which are all amazing for proper hydration. It has zinc, vitamin C, vitamin B, and choline. These things are incredible cognitive enhancers and immune boosting formulas that you don't want to miss out on, especially in times like this. I'm telling you, I drink Transfuse every single day. I love it. Tyler does as well. Anybody who has tried it has been just pouring with great feedback back to us. There's a reason that they're at all the NXL events, and a lot of the top teams and top professionals are using this product. Do not walk around dehydrated. I never realized how dehydrated I was, even when I was drinking all sorts of water. It's not enough. You need the proper nutrition. You need the right ingredients. Transfuse has done a great job of curating the perfect formula. Transfuse is absolutely spectacular, and for all of our listeners, there is a special deal for any Play the Game listener. If you head over to translabs.com, that's translabs.com, and use code PLAYTHEGAME at checkout, you will get 10% off. If you subscribe, which means they auto ship you your package every single month, whatever you want, whatever type, whatever flavor, whatever electrolyte formula you desire, they will give you an additional 11% off. So it becomes a 21% discount exclusively for all Play the Game listeners. Huge, huge shout out, and we are incredibly thankful for our supporters. And if you guys would like to go support them, it's translabs.com. Use code Play the Game. What's going on, PTG fam? Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. This episode, we have Archie Montemayor of San Antonio X Factor, one of the absolute legends in the game, and we sit down and talk for 3.5 hours about all things life, paintball, philosophy, you name it. It was a fantastic conversation with Kid Arch. And without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication. And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game. He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Kid Arch, my man, he's back. It has been 100 episodes since you've been on Play the Game podcast. Can you believe it?
Dude, honestly, kind of no. That means you guys are doing a show like every other night. It's insane. I didn't obviously I was on like relatively early when you guys first started. And I didn't necessarily understand how deep you are going to get into it, but you guys fucking dove in. It seems like y'all are obviously y'all put out more podcasts than any other like podcaster that I listen to. I think y'all even beat up on Joe Rogan on the pace as far as pace is concerned.
Oh, damn. He's a big dog.
Yeah, he is. But y'all are pumping him out, dude, and I appreciate it. Obviously, it's cool to see. It's definitely a space that's been kind of wide open to do in our industry for sure. And you know how paintballers are, man. They just eat it up. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to kind of see people being able to connect and hear other people's stories and kind of their perspectives and like, oh, I didn't quite see it that way. You know what I mean? It's just always interesting hearing that from other people that you respect and compete against and whatever. So you just don't always know that well. Yeah. So yeah, it's always cool.
Dude, 100 episodes. That's insane. And he's back. Episode number 111. We got Kid Arch on the show, dude. It's great to have you on the show. And thank you for you've always supported us the whole way. So thank you for that. And it's been crazy hearing all this perspectives, every episode, me and Marcelo, we always talk about wow, I had no clue, even though you think you know somebody. So it's been fun to tap in with everybody. And we have one of the greatest communities in the world, PTG fam. Thank you all out there. And we're excited to keep them rolling here.
Yeah, dude. 100%. That is crazy to me. I love that you appreciate numbers as much as I do. And I know Tyler does as well.
Oh yeah. Big time.
But when you're you hit me up, you're like, hey, 111, you guys have anybody on the books? I was like, we do now.
There's something there, dude. There's something there. Even if it doesn't man, I believe in those little weird oddities, man, not just numbers, but thoughts, or the way I explain it. This is the way I explain it frequently is all right, think we're human beings, right? And we've got ears and we've got eyes, and we can only hear and see a small fraction of visible light and audible sound, right? And what's all that other space? What's all those other sound waves doing? And what's that other light that we can't see? What's it doing, right? There you go. The tinfoil. I love it. Yeah, Tyler's ready.
I got the tinfoil hat on, dude.
To me, there is so much. Oh, Marcelo, I love this. That's good.
We're ready. We're ready.
Yeah, there's so much. There's so much we don't know about. It's
staggering.
Crazy. It's insane how much we don't know.
That's right.
And here we are, and honestly, people walk around thinking they're the shit and thinking they know everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's fucking funny, man.
It is. It's amazing.
Takes is for you to have one kind of experience, no matter what that experience is, where you realize, where you're just knocked off your socks of I thought I was so certain in that way of thinking, and my mind has been completely opened and blown. To come around to thinking I believe that there is so much that we're unaware of. How about, I think you might have even shared this, Archie, on your Instagram. I saw a couple people talk or sharing it, but we just got, radio signals from some dwarf galaxy, some billions of miles away. I mean, what the hell is that? What's going on there?
Who knows, man? I bet it's not what our government's telling us. That's the one thing I think about.
What do you mean? You can trust the government. They
absolutely
totally open.
I tell Siri everything, actually. I love her.
Hey, she's listening no matter what you're saying, dude. Whether you're giving her permission or not. One of the things I caught, I don't remember. I heard it somewhere, but I just love it, and it's so true. If you trust government, you just don't know history. That is a fact, bro. Seriously. So I don't know, man. I just try to keep an open mind and like independent analysis of anything that I'm kind of looking at, hearing, digesting, thinking, and even from my own thoughts and my own, conscious thoughts or my own programming even, because like one thing that people like don't realize is like you've got to understand the level of conditioning that you have just to be to the point where you're at right now. Like you could say that about anything. Like, the number one determinant of what religion you choose to do is it has
where
nothing.
You're born.
No, dude, it's what your parents' religion is. It has very similar,
right. Yeah,
but it has nothing to do with what the religion actually practices. It's just what you've been told.
Of course,
right?
Sociology. That's exactly it.
So like stuff like that, and again, you could apply that to anything, bro. You can apply that to diet, your fitness, your politics, your natural, even just the like how good of a mood you wake up in can be determined based off of how grumpy your mom was in the mornings or not. You know what I mean? And that's kind of
100%.
frightening. But most people go through like, and granted, I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of people go through their lives not even understanding that conditioning happens to everybody. And if you don't get outside of the conditioning, you'll never understand that you are just basically regurgitating what you've been conditioned to. And anyways, like that understanding will like totally change your life if you can apply it to a lot of, you can apply it to everything, so independent analysis, like for me, like I try to genuinely, and it's hard to do, bro. You don't realize how much you're told, what to believe, how to think even, right? We're educated on like remembering stuff and not actually how to think, bro. Even just learning how to think is like unheard of these days, So I just, those are like things that I try to keep very conscious on the top of my head at all times and reminding myself, and even if I'm with a disagreement with somebody, like understanding that if I grew up with their life, I might have the same biases that they do. I might be on the same side of the fence as them. You know what I mean? And understanding that it's really not me against them at all. You know what I mean?
It's a history of ideas versus, a way of thinking. It is so often like that. You're right. And it is tough because to find the truth is so difficult nowadays. And I don't, it's hard to dive into the intention of it. I think a lot of it is just the machine, the machine has an objective, and the objective is to make money. Unfortunately, that is often what it is. And, what's going to get likes, what's going to get clicks, what's going to get the views, the ratings. So, when you turn on the news, it's so tough to shift through the BS because for a long time that was journalism and you respected it. That was the only way for us to get our information. That was how we would tap in with society and with what's going on. But these days it's more about, who can win the argument, and it's kind of an egotistical, charade of ideas. And it's so hard to, like you said, looking for information. I've found a lot of the best networks to get stuff from. Well, they're not even networks. It's more of just like independent, journalists that still, hold that true journalism to, close to their heart. Like they want to really give the honest story so that people can make their own opinions on stuff rather than persuade people into what their opinion is, for whatever reason. But it's hard, man. And it's, I do think there's some hope. I think a lot of people are kind of waking up to it. I really do. I think a lot of people are starting to see, because the hypocrisy is just blatant these days. And so you kind of have to be, pretty stupid to not recognize it, to put it in layman's term. You really do. And yeah, it's tough, man. Strange times we live in.
It makes for some great TV, though. I'll tell you that much. You watch that too? You watch TV? That stuff's amazing.
Yeah, I actually, man, I haven't watched like program TV I haven't had a cable subscription in so long. Pretty much the only TV I watch right now is like football, which like, fantasy football. It's
NBA back, bro.
Like it is back.
NBA's back.
Yeah. Oh, NBA too. That's right. Last night. I caught the tail end of the Bucks game. So I do enjoy watching some sports. I typically don't watch basketball until like the playoffs though. NFL, like because of fantasy football, it's just you're a little more invested.
For sure.
Kind of cool. But
how you doing this year?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not doing good. I'm all right. I've got a good team, but I've had an injury every week. And when you've got, like 12% or 13% of your team getting injured every week, it's tough. But I still got options, and I just got to get a 2-week stretch here where I'm good, and then we're straight. I'm not worried about it.
Every single player on my bench in one of my leagues is injured on IR, not just questionable or out. They're on IR. So you're not coming back for 3 weeks.
That was this particular week, and like last week I had some just no's, but not the IRs. That's tough.
Yeah. It's tough. We have a fantasy football league for our PTG members. So Tyler and I play. Yeah, we play with the community. We got a crew, and actually Tyler and I went head to head this last week.
I lost by 0.05 or like half a point.
So 5 yards.
Yeah.
So here's how it went down, which is even crazier. So I wrote it off as I lost. Again, the game
either had Henry or the Buffalo quarterback, maybe.
Dude,
the
Steelers game, he had Watt in that Steelers game, and Watt just went off defensively. It said I
had the Pittsburgh defense.
I had a 99% chance of winning, and he had 1%, and then Watt just completely went off.
So I didn't catch to tell it from my perspective, because this is how it's gone for me in fantasy every fucking week. They give you your like projected chance of winning, and every week I'm like, halfway through the game, it's like 85% chance of win. And then all of a sudden, 2 of the other dudes' players have the best game of their life against me, and I lose. And I'm like, this is just BS. And so sure enough, against Tyler, I had like an 80% chance of winning. Things were going well. And then all of a sudden it started getting even. And at the end of the night, Sunday night, so I'm in New York, watching football on the East Coast is weird, by the way.
Because it's just as late as
the night game. It doesn't end till like 1 in the morning, So I was like, because it went to overtime, right? So it was super late. But anyway, we're in the Discord, we're all talking, chatting about it, and people are talking smack to me. So I'm like pissed. I'm actually mad that I'm losing to Tyler. I'm like pissed. So I'm like, I'm going to bed. I'm not even watching the end of the game, even though I was definitely watching.
You did some sorcery from the dream state or something, dude.
So we get down. We both have 2 players. I have Pittsburgh defense, and he had the running back for the Steelers, something Hines. I forget his name, the new rookie. Mm-hmm. So going into the game, we were pretty much tied, and I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to win, because the running back is for sure going to get a ton of points, and I'm toast. I have a defense. You don't really score that much. Going into the end of the game, I was down like 4 points. So I'm doing the math, I'm like, there's literally no way for Pittsburgh defense to score enough points for me to come back and win this game. So I said, I'm going to bed. I was all pissed. I wake up in the morning, because I didn't actually end up watching the end of the game. I said this like middle of the fourth quarter. I watched all the way up until the end of the fourth quarter. And that's when I decided like I have no chance of winning this. So I went to bed. I woke up and Tyler had posted something like, oh, good game, Marcel. I can't believe you beat me by this much. And I was like, what? I guess like JJ Watt had multiple sacks and a fumble recovery in overtime.
Game over.
It was
boosted
crazy.
Me up, and I won by like half a point. It was pretty crazy. It was nuts. It was nuts.
Dude, I've seen the ones where like somebody will literally win or lose by a yard, and you're just like, how is that possible? But like it happens. It happens.
Yeah, it does.
But
I liked what you were saying about the programming, because it is thick and it is going on. There's a lot. It's a multi-dimensional experience that we're in. There's so many facets to the human experience, and it's a beautiful thing. It's like a mirage or like an orchestra or something crazy like that. I don't know how to describe it, but there's so many. Yeah, and that's exactly right. It's all harmonics, and actually, if you break it down, it gets into octaves and vibrations, and like you were talking about, there's light and sound, and we are only experiencing with what we've been equipped with a very small percentage of that actual reality. So if you just think of it in that regard, there's really so much more possibility than we've ever given this experience. For the most part, we go through our lives and we eat our food, we do our work, we do our sports, or, our, what makes us happy. But there's the possibility for a lot that could be manifested in this experience if we all, sign up and start to see that,
No, I mean, I definitely am I've been kind of trying to tune into these thoughts for several years now, but like one that's come up more recently for me is that my fiance last year as a hobby.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
Everybody out there in
Congrats.
PTG world, please head over and give Arch a big congrats.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I know I don't post a lot about like non-paintball stuff on my channels or anything like that. But my fiance is just incredible. And I knew it like literally the second I met her. But one of the things she's been picking up, or she's now a licensed sound healer. She got her certification over the last year. And so like hearing her understanding of the way sound waves work, and I've even had her practice like a healing on me before, which I like, if I told you the full story, it's like, I almost wouldn't believe it myself hearing it afterwards. Right. It's just really, really fascinating stuff. And so she's going to continue to dive in a little bit deeper on that practice. And, as a result, I'll probably get a little bit of that as well. Yeah. Right. But it's just interesting stuff, man. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg, dude. There's all kinds of other stuff going on. You know what I mean? Like, like right here behind me, like that's a sauna, it's infrared sauna. So like it works with lights.
I wanted to ask you about that actually. Cause we've talked about the sauna before. It's fantastic.
I know you guys have been toting it for a while.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, I bought one because like I love it, So
yeah, I'm so envious that you have one of those in your place, dude. It's it also dubs as like a streaming glow light. Look at that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, obviously, like it's just like permanently in that mode or whatever. But I can change it. But
head over to the YouTube, everybody. Check out. We got the sauna here on the YouTube.
I honestly say that's like the best purchase I've ever made in my life.
For sure, like, dude.
It's not relatively inexpensive. You know what I mean? Like most people are driving a car worth more than that thing, obviously. Yeah. And it's like a personal practice you can use every day. Doesn't take that long. You're so just going to feel like super good coming out of it. And, I don't know, man. I love that thing.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, because I've never done the infrared sauna.
Oh, okay.
So I know a majority of the studies of the benefits of like heat shock proteins and things of that nature are done in regular saunas, temperatures like 180 degrees, 200 degrees. Yeah. Is it the same? Does it feel the same? Like
So it feels very similar. And so what's different about like infrared is it actually penetrates into your skin. And there's also the frequencies of lights that they've done studies on that are like let's just say a more efficient way of doing things, right? So I don't think most people, like, given the option between like the older saunas and this, like go the older route, right? But like obviously a lot of places have that, like an older sauna already, and they work great. Like there's no doubt those things are helpful, right? It's just a newer technology, and it's actually not that new. Like the infrared technology has been around for like I think around 20 years now, because like the company they were the first people to actually make them, and they've got like patents on the certain frequency waves and stuff like that. I don't it's been a while since I purchased this thing, so I don't quite remember all the like heavy hitting facts on it, but essentially it's very similar. The frequencies just penetrate a little bit more. And as a result, it's not as temperature hot, but like you're melting in there. It's not like
gotcha.
you wouldn't know that in there. Yeah, exactly. You're toasted. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, anyway,
so I'm sure you still get all the benefits of the heat shock.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Exactly right. You still get the benefit of the heat shock proteins. I actually normally I've got, in our other room here, the bathroom, we keep like a cold water in there, like pretty much permanently, because we've got the extra room, and it's just me and my fiance. Yeah. So we just keep it in there. And so I mean, and granted, I'm just such a big wuss about cold, but like it just in that tub, it's like chilly ass water, just like normal temperature in our place. And
you have a cold plunge in there as well?
It's not like a cold plunge. It's just my tub that we keep a static level of water in there. But just from the temperature we keep our house, like it's always cold. And especially when you come from in there, dude, like it's like,
dude, I love it.
Painful as hell. Like I'm such a wuss, but like that's one of the things that I want to be better at in practice. But like even my willingness to say how much I suck with the cold is basically me like giving it more power over me too.
Yeah,
know?
right.
So, like, I really need to get over myself and just say like, all right, dude, quit being a bitch, you know? But until that day, I'm going to be the bitch.
You got to throw some ice in that thing. Really get it going.
Oh, man.
Cool it down.
See, it's not so much my body that gives up, dude. It's my feet and my fingers, bro. Like they can't stand it. It's so bad. Dude. I hate it.
I try to keep the hands out. I always try to keep the hands out because that's a tough one.
Dude, they go quick, man. Like,
they go quick.
Doesn't take long, dude.
Yeah, and the feet hurt. The feet are pain. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I take a cold shower every day after the gym when I get back from the gym. Cold shower, awesome. And it like ice cold, especially this time of year. Our water gets really cold, which is nice. And it's so funny. I notice like when I'm in a certain mood or something, it's a million times more cold, you know, and my body reacts to it poorly. And it's such a direct reaction to like my mental state. Whereas other times, like I'm mentally prepared for it. And I just, you know, I get in there and I'm like, this feels great. It's awesome. You know, and the water is just as cold. It's just, where am I mentally? Am I distracted? Am I like thinking about other things? Am I not ready for this adversity? Because that's what it is. I mean, that's the whole reason behind doing it. You know, it teaches you a certain level of discipline and like dealing with that kind of pain. It is kind of painful, right?
Yeah. Well, you're setting yourself up for success like every time you walk in the shower, and that's only going to transcend in the other things you do. I mean, and yes, you're right. Like just what I'm saying, I said the exact same thing. I'm just on the other fence.
Yeah.
You know, I'm on the other side of it. I'm just like, I don't want to do this. And then I get in there and it sucks, you know? It's just like, all right, I got this. You know what I mean?
No, sorry, I don't think I was clear with it. That's what I'm alluding to is like when I feel like it's going to suck, when I'm in that state of mind, it sucks.
Stand no chance.
It's horrible. Yeah, it is definitely, you know, it's crazy how powerful the mind is. And you can see it in little ways like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the best experiences with the hot cold ever was in Shasta with Oliver. He came up and me, my mom, Oliver, and Oliver's friend, we were all together and we went into this indigenous sweat lodge and it was insane. They brought the rocks from the mountain, like from Shasta, in there. They put them in the fire on the outside and they cooked them to a zillion degrees, put them like a bunch of them on the inside and poured the Shasta water on it. And you felt like the skin on your face was just falling off. So you had to like go down to the ground and get air off the ground because and it was pitch black. So people are like, let me out of here. You know, they were cracking left and right, you know? So it's kind of like you're talking, it's a war of attrition on the mind in there. Yeah. And my mom, she's such a beast. She stayed the whole time. Oliver and, God, I forgot his friends' names, but we all stayed the whole time. And then me and Ollie jumped into the ice water outside of the sweat lodge because it was in the winter time. Yeah, and we cracked through the like little stream ice and jumped in there, and I was sick for a week after. Man. I was sick for a week.
Sounds like it worked, right?
Yeah, sounds like it worked.
Supposed to build up your what is it? Your nervous system, right? Yeah. Sick for a week. That sounds epic, man. I would kill to have like that type of experience with my mom involved. Oh my God. No, she would never ever apply for that. But like that would be awesome. Like my hat's off to your mom. That's sick.
She's a wild one. She's from like Santa Cruz, so she's kind of like a hippie, you know, heart-centered woman. And so she lives up in Shasta, and I try to get up there and see them as much as I can. My heart goes out to everybody in NorCal and all the fires that have been going on. I know it's kind of subsided a little, but still, it's just been crazy up there.
Yeah, dude, that is really unfortunate. It seems to have been like happening like way more frequently than normal, right?
Oh, it has ramped up.
It's every year. Yeah.
This year I went up there. There were seven fires around where my parents live. So you can't even go outside really, you know, because the air quality
and soot everywhere, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we fly to Sacramento to play Impact for practice, we've done that quite the last few events. And so before Chicago flying up, I'm, gazing out the window and you just see random patches of fires out in the mountains. It's crazy. Like I've never seen that before. It would literally just be a random patch in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, fire, like not massive, but big enough. It's just crazy. Just all over.
That's wild.
You guys went through that ice storm recently in Texas. Bro. That was crazy.
Dude, actually it was crazy. So I was born and raised in Austin and I've lived here my entire life.
Have you ever seen anything?
No, dude, I'm 35. So I'm not super old, but I'm old enough. Yeah. And I have never seen anything like that here. Right. And I don't remember, I forget how long it's been since we had anything even close to it. But dude, it was just coming down for days. And then what sucked the most was that so our power grid is a private power grid, right? So we're not even connected. And I'm sure I'm going to botch the way I explain this, but I don't know and I don't really recall it that well. But basically we have a privatized energy grid, and somewhere down the line of, these guys that own the grid, they're making money saving maneuvers because it doesn't really freeze here ever. Right. So once it's ice age down here, we're fucked. So it came down really bad. And there was several inches on the floor, but we don't have trucks. We don't have the salt guys putting the stuff on the roads and stuff like that. And then also just in general, if there's ever even just ice on the roads here, everything is shut down. But when it snowed, on top of that, everything shut down, and then we had no power. So I live downtown, so we were the only zip code that had power. So we we're befriending my friends that didn't have power, my friends' animals that didn't, because you know what I mean? My parents had no power for 3 or 4 days. And some people at that moment in time, I was actually under contract to sell a house that I had flipped. And it's a 60-year-old house. So the plumbing is probably suspect as hell. I don't know because I didn't physically dive in there to see it. But I'm just scratching my head please don't burst my pipes. Because I had probably 6 or 7 of my close friends have their pipes burst. And I see the thing on their stories where they're digging through the walls, trying to replace a pipe and stuff. It's just nuts. But, again, could you imagine being in 10 to 15 degree weather for days on end without power? It was insane.
It was bad. It was really
it was
bad.
Not good. Several people there were a lot of really tragic deaths as a result of just people trying to stay warm and really just not having a whole lot of options, and this was statewide, not just here locally here in Austin. So it was not a pretty scene. And, it's funny, I almost felt guilty for having power just because nobody else around me did. When I looked north or east, which, I could see for quite a while, it's just dark, pitch dark, because there's just there are no lights, it was a weird situation.
Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. And dude, that's amazing that you were able to help some pets out and help people out and bring them in, during that.
Yeah, we try, it's interesting. And thankfully, a lot of people, people that I know found ways, or even some of the bars down here downtown were just open, pretty much all night long just to house people almost. But it was definitely quite the scene, man. Not like anything I've ever seen here. And also just to see snow stick for a week straight. That's crazy. Yeah.
Oh man. What's your take on, has the weather in the last 20 years, do you feel like weather has changed at all? Or do you think that's all raw business?
This is actually an interesting question because last week I went to Colorado and I paid a visit to my friend Nick Laval, and we went.
That looked epic, by the way.
Dude, it was epic.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it was fucking badass. So
Nick is one of the greatest dudes in all of the land.
I
was going to say in paintball,
agree.
but he's just a solid individual.
Yeah, I agree. We honestly, I think we hit on a lot of different thoughts and ideas and processes, and that's ultimately why I wanted to go out there and do it with him. And I shit you not, from the second I got into his car when he picked me up to the second I got out, it was we were yapping pretty much the entire time. And it was all just really like kind of next level thoughts, ideas, and just really great deep conversation, something I really appreciate. And I remembered that from last year. I roomed with him when we played like one of those like kind of not NXL exhibition tournaments, and we didn't have Marcelo and Ryan to play with the Kings, and Kyle obviously playing with Nick on Impact. He invited Nick, and I ended up rooming with Nick, and it was like, again, that's kind of where it started. And then I knew, I wanted to kind of touch base on that a little bit more and kind of connect, but it was just an epic time. So with regard to weather, so Nick, and I hope I'm not throwing him under the bus a little too much. He's quite the, I'd say he's quite a reader about like alternative subjects. And one of the subjects that he had quite an extensive knowledge on was weather modification. So I don't.
And also the Anunnaki. I'm sure you guys probably spoke about that.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit. I don't quite remember that one as well.
Weather modification?
Yeah, oddly enough. So, I mean, and granted, remember what we were talking about earlier? Like, you don't know how much we don't know.
Of course.
Right? So, like, I'll say that Nick has at least formulated a more than educated opinion on the subject. And like, I'll say he kind of blew my mind on the conversation. It was fascinating stuff, you know what I mean? And not like tinfoil hat kind of stuff, like well thought out.
We got him though. We got him.
Yeah. Just in case
we're ready.
Him, right? Yeah. So, don't get me wrong. Like, I've heard of that stuff before, but like, I've never taken the time to like give it more consideration than just hearsay. Right. Mm-hmm. And so like hearing at least, what Nick, some of the stories and stuff Nick was telling me about it was actually quite interesting conversation. So, I would.
Dude, there's no way. You think so? I don't know. That's heavy duty.
I'll just say, do your own research.
Well, can you share a little bit with us? Because I'm not familiar with weather modification.
I'm intrigued.
What is that? Is there like, there's people, to me it sounds like people are intentionally changing the weather through some sort of device.
Well, let's just say hypothetically, you could cause a drought or cause a rain storm, right? If that was the case, then, hypothetically speaking, you could either, let's say you could have a political motive to do such, right? So let's say a part of the country is just not quite in line with what you want to have happen. Maybe you could influence their weather somehow. And
dude, I'm putting the tinfoil hat on. It's going on. It's going on.
Yeah. Or like, more, I don't know. I would say like the more interesting or maybe a recent event, right? And this is what sucks about this stuff is like, these things are things that affect people. So it's tough to talk about, and like, you don't want to just like throw hearsay out like so like haphazardly, right? But like one of the things I looked up after I got back was like the New York hurricane that happened like within the last 6 months. Like the path of that hurricane was rather unusual, really, really unusual. Mm-hmm. And if you do a little more research onto weather modification, and you have to search a little bit more, but specifically like the Nazis claim to have an understanding on how to influence hurricane patterns, right?
I do remember hearing that,
actually. The direction of a hurricane. So
I think I heard that on Ancient Aliens, actually.
Yeah. And so maybe so. And so now you're talking about also when you're like, let's just bring it full circle into COVID times, right? So New York and or California are like, it's hard to argue that they are definitely in line with what the main narrative of our government is on as far as COVID is concerned, right? Like mandating a lot and, kind of playing by the rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of control, a lot of we're doing this to help you, and this is what's better for.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't necessarily know if like it's the chicken or the egg, but it's certainly interesting that both of those areas have also been hit by really hard weather systems, whether it's fires or like a hurricane,
Do you know who B.O.B. is, the rapper? B.O.B. Bob?
Dude, yeah, I do. And actually I heard,
Okay.
so I don't know like his whole story, but I know he was like kind of a bit like, I don't want to say whistleblower, right? You probably know way more about it than I do, but like he's got a really like kind of weird, interesting kind of narrative as far as his like posting is concerned and his overall message. But like, hasn't he gone like really quiet, like almost like as a matter of fact, just went, like super quiet all of a sudden, right?
Within the last couple years, definitely. And he actually had a song called he was talking about the weather stuff. He called it like harp music or something, and he had this whole song about so he's totally in the wormhole with all that kind of stuff, and pretty interesting artist. Like if you ever get a chance, listen to B.O.B. He's a pretty interesting artist out there.
Yeah, no, I've known that for like a while, but again, like it's, you know, and don't get me wrong, like I can enjoy like a conversation about that kind of stuff, right? And like, you know, there's people that are like way on one side, and then there's the like, oh, you conspiracy theorists, you know what I mean? Like I like to entertain all thoughts and make my own decisions, and I don't have a decision on any of this yet, but it's certainly interesting.
It's interesting. It's interesting, right? Yeah, that's something I got to look into. I mean, if you talk about how it can affect things politically, you know, often bills get drawn up and there's a ton of different things on that bill, right? And so having something to push a climate control thing, which a lot of people are going to agree with, it's easy to get people on that side. You know, if you have that in the bill, and then you can tack in a few other things, likely that bill gets passed. And so if you can control the weather and make it, you know, seem as if there really is, you know, a big problem that we have to address immediately, I mean, certainly, like objectively, that makes sense in that regard.
No way. There's
like,
no way.
Can you imagine? So I already started Googling a little bit of this though, like cloud seeding. What is cloud seeding?
Cloud seeding has been around for a long time, just so you know.
Yeah.
Like, and also
this is new to me.
From what I understand, Canadians are like very well, they understand this very well. Like this isn't like,
this is wild.
This isn't like what we're thinking, like what, that doesn't make sense. Like in Canada, this is like, well known, you know? And again, that's just what we are fed, right?
That's one thing that I have noticed.
This is something that, like, sorry, Ty, but this is something that we do cloud seed.
Correct.
This is like and not a conspiracy.
It's weather modification. That's what they're doing it to influence weather. Whether or not to the degree or to the extent we know, you know, whatever, but there is intent and it is influential. So
this is from the WMA.org, and anytime anything has a .org, they're official. So
yes.
Weather Modification Association. What is cloud seeding? Weather modification can be both planned, as in the case in cloud seeding, or inadvertent, for example, when pollution affects visibility. Planned or deliberate weather modification is also commonly known as cloud seeding, cloud modification, or atmospheric water management. How does it work? Is it effective? Is it environmentally safe? So how does it work? Cloud seeding, or commonly referred to as weather modification, is the treatment of individual clouds or cloud systems in an attempt to achieve a desired beneficial effect, including fog and hail mitigation. What the fuck? And additional precipitation in the form of either rain or snow. Cloud seeding is conducted from the ground or via aircraft by pyrotechnic flares and or liquid fuel generators. Please visit the fact page. What?
Huh. That's really interesting.
This is new stuff to me. So this is a real thing that we're capable of.
Yeah,
so we're not
.org,
.org. It's official for sure.
The one thing that I know is I don't know pretty much anything. Like that's the one thing I'm for sure of is I
100% hit on that, dude. I literally say that all the time. Like there's one thing I know is I don't know much.
At all.
For sure.
But at least when you know that, you're okay. Like you can at least pursue other endeavors. When you think you know everything, you're just like walking around like this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
100%. But another interesting, just to like put the cap on the like the whole weather mod stuff. So I believe it's United Nations or one of these united governing bodies. One of the rules in those governing bodies is you're not allowed to conduct weather modification on another country.
Interesting.
So you can conduct it on yours.
Why would that be in there if they couldn't do it?
Huh.
No,
why would you make that rule if you couldn't weather modify, right?
No, you can weather modify. I'm telling you, everything that I'm seeing, it's like the technology doesn't seem like it's a conspiracy. It seems like everyone on the internet agrees that that's a possible thing. That's not like, I think they can do this. So
when you guys were back
right now.
China to expand weather modification program to cover, dude, this is from CNN.
This is Maddie on the show.
Now you know it's true.
God.
So yeah, it's so funny that you asked about that though, Tyler, because I was like, dude, I just got dropped bombs last week, literally on the subject.
I want to know more about that trip because from what I saw on Instagram, it was snowing. It was pretty cold, I would imagine.
Bro,
talk to me.
So I literally probably 2.5 months ago, I randomly reached out to Nick, and I don't know what thought came into my head to preface the conversation, but something did, and I'm glad it did because it led me to going. But so I was like, hey bro, and we kind of let it go die on the trail, the text went cold. And then he went on y'all's show, and I listened to it, and I was like, this motherfucker is not escaping now. So I literally texted him like, bro, I'm coming next week. Are you good? And he's like, yep, let's go. So he gave me the dates that were good. I bought the ticket, and I went up there. And anyways, obviously I told you guys we had just a really, really great time. We were pretty much just yapping the whole time, rest our ears. But the day we got on the hike, within 5 minutes or 10 minutes of us on the hike, and we're carrying backpacks, and my dumb ass, I looked at the weather, and it was supposed to get only cold at night, 40s was the low at night when I looked at the weather before I left. And so I literally didn't pack jeans. I brought leggings and shorts,
Oh man.
I thought, and granted, my legs don't normally get that cold, but I obviously didn't realize the weather we were going to encounter. It's 10 minutes in, it starts snowing, and I'm like, dude, this is epic. I was so pumped about it. Right when it's a 6-mile hike and 2,000 of elevation to where the campsite is. And we get there, and actually I should say Nick put the tent down like a pro. And then we get in, and we're kind of just situating, and this snowstorm just blows in. And I mean howling wind. It got really cold really quickly, and it's just dumping. And it dumped for a solid hour. And I remember kind of looking at Nick. I'm like, oh, that's going to be a lot of fun, just cooped up in the tent, just trying to stay warm. And then all of it, all of a sudden, dude, a sunspot hits the tent, and North, his husky just kind of perks up oh shit. All right, we can go out now. And then we got up, and we did a pretty solid little hike up to this other little small pond or lake. I guess it's probably bigger than a pond, but pretty sizable lake up there. And we hike that, we come back down, and mind you, at this point, it's fucking cold. It's really cold. And then we get down, we make our dinner, and we just get pummeled all night. It was somewhere between 5 and 11 degrees overnight, the entirety of it. And it's enough, our tent is this. It's not super tall, but it's kind of this, but the entire night.
I saw the tent. You guys shared that?
Yeah.
You guys were there together. Yeah. Okay.
Dude,
nice.
Honestly,
you probably
God
needed to.
We did. Yeah, seriously.
Exactly.
But the entire night, the tent's going like this.
Yeah.
Just
dancing.
And one of the things came up kind of in the middle of the night, and Nick was like, I should probably go out there and put that thing down. But it is what it is right now. And I mean, granted, for me, this is all new.
Sure.
For the most part. I've been camping, but not in that kind of scenario at all. And so pretty much the entire night, I'm just wondering, okay, I'm feeling the tent just bow and hit me in my back as I'm laying up against it. And I'm just dude, if this thing topples over, we're fucked. That's kind of what I was thinking. And sure,
man.
Maybe we're not all the way fucked, but it was not going to be a convenient situation.
No.
So nonetheless, the next day we decided to hike our asses back down, and we went to Rocky Mountain, which is not having the snowstorm of the year, or snowstorm of the week, I should say. So we had quite an enjoyable day driving around Colorado. We went kind of like through Estes Park, which is kind of a little community before you get there. And then we drove around Rocky Mountain, which it's, I think it was called rut season, which is like the beginning of mating season for elk. So like the elk were just like out, and we probably saw 60 or 70 of them. And like, you know, it's like a buck with like a pack of bitches, and then like another buck with his pack, and they're all just kind of flirting around, fucking with each other a little bit. But no, it was quite enjoyable, you know, to say the least. And yeah, we pretty much just were in the car or hiking, you know, for the majority of the trip. It was epic. I mean, obviously I'm looking forward to doing something similar again. Hopefully we don't get totally dumped on. Nick, according to Nick, he's been in that type of weather before, which kind of blew my mind, because I was like, dude, I mean, it was,
I'm not surprised at all.
I was
not
pumped. I was like teetering between, like there was no in between for me. I'm like, man, I'm freezing my butt off, but at the same, like, and granted, while I was sleeping, it wasn't bad. Like we had the gear in the tent. We were solid on that.
You guys were cuddling up and
yeah, exactly.
It was good.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, 2 guys and 1 female dog just eating it up in there. But it, you know, it was just like the hike was just, especially on the way down the next day, it was, I mean, that was easily the coldest I've ever hiked in. I mean, my hands, I was essentially putting one hand in my pants just to keep it warm, and then alternating hands on the way down, you know, and of course there's so much snow on the ground, you can't really see the trail. So like, you're kind of like half stepping, and like I fell once, which thankfully wasn't a bad fall, but you know, it was just kind of treacherous, but honestly, exactly how you want an experience like that to be. So
for sure.
Like the main takeaway I took was that like, we went through something that was pretty difficult. We hiked easily like 12 to 15 miles with elevation in like pretty treacherous conditions. And we both did it. Like, although Nick probably was like, we both did it with smiles on our face. Like It was pretty awesome. And like the takeaway from that, you know, I like to, like, I'll relate it to Marcelo, like with his little personal win, taking a cold shower in the morning. You know, I'm like, I feel great about pushing myself this little trip, you know, and not to mention filling up my brain with some like, you know, tinfoil hat thoughts.
Yeah, there we go. That whole area is some of the most beautiful land in our country. I mean, it's really amazing out there.
Yeah. Super, super awesome. And yeah, like, I don't know, man, to me, in like the day and age of like working from home and stuff like that, like I can't see how that area is just going to blow up here in the next, like, you know, decade or so, for sure.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So it definitely was an awesome, awesome experience. And I honestly can't wait to do it again. Hopefully with, you know, like a few more buddies, it'll be fun.
There we go.
Let's make it happen, dude. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude. I mean, well, and honestly, that kind of, I would say that idea spawned from a trip I took a couple years ago with Kyle and Blake up to Yosemite, and not at all, like, not even close to the same type of experience, because we were like in a truck the whole time, and we had like a full camp. Like Blake had everything.
Blake is so like, awesome.
Yeah,
he knows how to travel. That's
dude. Sure. We had so much fun. It was that was like honestly one of my favorite weekends ever. And I mean, you know, we've all had some really badass weekends. I know that, but like, God, that was a fun one, man. We really had a great time out there. I was really grateful for that. And so
Blake and Kyle, Blake and Kyle are 2 of our favorite people in the world. Blake knows how to travel like nobody's business. If you are going somewhere, make sure you bring Blake. All right, because he's
bring Blake.
He is going to help a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like Blake is definitely a seasoned veteran when it comes to that kind of stuff. But not to mention that, like those 2 guys are just clowns. So like you're just they're always trying to like prank each other, and also not like on the short ones. They're like on the long play. Like, I'm gonna get you tomorrow afternoon when you least expect it with like a rubber spider.
I'm gonna put this here that I'm gonna wait until the end of the trip.
Yeah, exactly. It's just oh god, we had a really great time. Yeah.
Yep. They sure are, man. That's what makes it so much fun when you get to hang out with, you know, I mean, I could just imagine the 5 of us all hanging out together. We'd probably have a pretty damn good time. And that's what it's all about, you know, making memories with friends in paintball. That's the most beautiful thing about this community. We're able to do that.
Blake's story.
Absolutely.
Blake's story when I don't think he told this on PTG. No, there's no way.
The wolf story, bro?
Yeah, no, not the wolf story.
That
was crazy. Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. But no, I don't think he told this one on PTG. But he hiked from Paris to Norway.
Oh yeah.
Hiked from one country to another. He completely ran
earlier. He's a clown. What the hell, dude?
He completely ran out of money. Had to like hustle his way onto the ferry. His stories.
Did he do that hike with Kevin Coombe? Because I want to say they did that together, but I could be wrong. Because Kevin,
no, you're right. They did do a big hike together, but I feel like this story,
maybe not that one.
Yeah, this story, I know Blake was by himself, so I don't know if maybe it was part of this or what. That doesn't make sense though. Yeah, I'm kind of foggy on it, but he just tells me the story, and I'm like, Blake, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like I'm immediately wondering, like, how long did that take? You know, like, jeez, that's funny.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 weeks or something like that. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, I mean, good for Blake though. Again, he has stories that are just. I mean, nobody has those kind of stories, you know.
Yeah, no,
and it challenges you, and there's absolutely something to be said about that. Like, it's not normal. It's not what we're accustomed to. It's not what we're conditioned to be comfortable with. You know, it's such a like barbaric kind of thing, and it kind of brings you back to your roots, just being with the land and like trying to survive out there in the conditions. You realize how difficult it is, and we have been absolutely softened up just from simply not having to deal with basic survival, you know, that we used to have to deal with like on a regular basis. You know, every single day was a fight to survive.
Yeah, you know, that's an interesting point you brought up about like, you know, that's not the way we, like, let's just say our ancestors came up, you know what I mean? And like, that's also something that's been hitting really heavily kind of more recently, is like ancestral type designing your life around ancestral type things, like grounding and even like being a little bit more connected to your food source. Right. And even like, you know, just getting like sun exposure at the right times, right? Like, these are things that as human beings we were, and granted, like, I don't know what you believe as far as like how we got to this point in time, or how human beings, you know, I'll use evolved as the term for just the lack of a better phrase, but how we evolved to being what we are. But certainly, like, as ancient human beings, these are things that we were accustomed to, and our body was in tune with these things. And now we are not in tune with those things at all. And
thousands of years of that way.
Longer than that, dude.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking about like, when you're like another example is like, dude, the DNA in your body, Tyler, like, dude, that DNA is so wise and so old. I couldn't even tell you how old it is, because it's older than that. Right. And that DNA was accustomed to waking up when the sun came up and going to bed when the sun came down. Right. And eating, you know, like primal type foods, and like having to hunt for your, not only your food, but also your like primary, like feeling of purpose, you know what I mean? And like, we're so far removed from a lot of those thoughts. And it's, to me, it, like, I'm just kind of like turning, like really starting to get to the point of like starting to trying to implement these things. But it's not far-fetched for me to understand and see why people are living with anxiety, and people are really like malnutritioned and, you know, overweight and unhappy, and, you know, like kind of looking out there for like something else to help them, you know what I mean? And like, it's kind of, it's a weird place in existence where we have so much potential, and at the same time, like, it's like we're not really hitting on it at all, you know? But, you know, it's, I hate to say like it is what it is, but like, those things are very interesting topics. And they're like, as the more people that awaken to these ideas, hopefully there will be a little more spotlight and a little more understanding and a little more like science and, you know, a little more time involved into better understanding these practices and whether or not they really help or not. Right. But it's not hard to argue that like the way system as a whole is going isn't like exactly all that uplifting or looking all that great, you know?
Yeah, it's been it's definitely seen better days. But I think that you're right. We need more sunlight. We need more good water. We need more smiles and
Good water.
laughter,
Amen.
connectivity. Humans need connectivity. We
Oh, that's a good one.
need it. It's a requirement. It's not a maybe. And that whole entire paradigm has shifted as well with the connectivity of how we receive that. So that also could play a factor, but we just need to have good conversations and smile and make each other laugh and like have empathy for this entire thing, because every one of us is all going through struggles and battles, and on the outside things may look copacetic and fine, but man, we're all going through it, and we need to have some empathy for this process, because it's definitely a heavy one that we've been going through. So open up the hearts and let's just team earth. Let's team earth this thing,
Amen,
and like
dude.
have some harmony start
Oneness,
to happen.
baby. Oneness,
Yeah.
harmony. Oh yeah, I love
it.
that. Empathy, compassion, like all those things. Just a little more understanding,
Yeah.
To touch
absolutely.
on your connectivity, Tyler, conversely, I think that is a major problem, is that majority of us are disconnected, right? There's no connection to the foods we eat. There's no connection to the water we drink. There's no connection to the relationships you have over social media with people that aren't actually in front of you, people that you actually can see and feel and understand.
The
There's
vibration,
a massive,
like we were talking about, like the like he was saying, the healing from sound. It also you can heal through good conversation and good sound and having those good types of talks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've been so disconnected. And so that's why people say I'm going to recharge when they take a weekend away and go camping, right? You completely, you get off the grid and you connect with everything that's real, everything that's natural, because that's homeostasis. That's what we actually want to be. That's where we thrive. That is where we can reboost. And it's so easy to get completely removed from it and be on that hamster wheel, or just be so focused on the rat race. It's really easy to get caught up in that and always be chasing these superficial things, that if you strip all of the stuff that society has created, these ideas that we've created, away, you realize how much that stuff doesn't matter. And what matters is your happiness, your relationships, how you interact with individuals, your health, how you feel, your body, what kind of foods you're eating, like that's what matters. That's what makes you go day to day.
Literally matters.
Literally matters.
Yeah.
It is the only matter that matters. Like what you're eating. So
I mean, it's really interesting. And again, like the also thing, there's like, it's like an onion, dude. Like like there's so many layers, bro. And like, just honestly, the hardest one is the first one. Just get past that first one. Cause like, once you understand, like you get a deeper level of understanding, it'll help you to understand everything else deeper. And the deeper you go, it's going to be interesting, but
there's always going to be the layers. That absolutely.
The more you cry.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't even know how we got on that tangent, but it was a good one.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me into a question that I have for you, is just your dreams for this game, or your aspirations for paintball. What does that look like to Archie, and how can we get there? What if you do have any insights on like what your dreams or aspirations for the game is?
That's something that, man, I know I should have a better answer, but like for me, and I probably have been, like, with regard to like having an answer for that, like maybe I've been a little selfish on this, in the sense that like I haven't really like put a lot of thought into like, where do I really want to see the sport in like 5 or 10 years? You know what I mean? Like, to me, like I really appreciate a lot about the sport, and there's a lot about the sport I really can't stand. Right. But I will say this, like the things that I appreciate can fill up almost anyone's cup, and like, I really feel strongly about that. Like, like I would argue that like, if you like, I would give anybody the best piece of advice is that like, go and just try to master something, whatever it is, like really try to be the best, right? The best you could be, not even the best you could be. And in that pursuit of being the best that you could be at a given anything, you're going to understand so many other things as a result of that pursuit, right? And for me, thankfully, paintball was that pursuit, right? And on top of that, like, competition is like beautiful, man. Like, it really is, because a lot of people take the competition for granted, and they think it's about like winning, like, people really get hung up on this, like, fuck. And don't get me wrong, dude, like, we all want to win. I get that, and it feels good to win, but like, that's not really why we all do this. We don't do it to win, because guess what? If we did it to win, we all suck then, because we've been losing a lot more than we win. You know what I mean? But it's about the pursuit. It's about the problems. It's about the problem solving. It's about showing what you're made of and getting punched and getting, like, taking licks and getting up, right? It's about pushing your levels. You know what I mean? Right. And also, like, one of the thought I had, like, about 8 or 9 months ago, on kind of like a funky night, and I'll leave the names out, but somebody was like, man, like, we've, like, if you think about, like, let's just say, like, a hypothetical of players that have, like, maybe elevated or, like, helped other people, other teams get better, right? Like, like, hypothetically, you're making it harder on yourself, to win, right? And I was like, immediate thought on that was like, but you're missing the point, like, because you're giving yourself an opportunity to rise again. It's not about, like, just winning, because, like, if the level's down here and you win everything, like, who gives a shit, really? But if you're pushing the level, and, like, let's just say you influence the level of pro paintball, bro, that's it. That's the idea. That's the thought. Mm-hmm. And guess what? If everybody rises up, you get the opportunity to exercise those same thoughts that got you to elevate it in the first place. And that's what you're after anyways. You know what I mean? But, like, that's because all those thoughts are just because of paintball. I don't know that I would have ever had those thoughts without paintball. You know what I mean? And so, like, there's a lot that I really love about paintball. There's a lot that I don't, like, I really feel like we can find a better way to broadcast this sport, like, wholeheartedly. Please. And, like, it doesn't take a lot of thought for me to know that, you know what I mean? And, unfortunately, like, it's like, I feel like we've been kind of handcuffed with the status quo of what the league and or the powers that be, like, how they want things to go. And, I don't know. I feel like with some, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, compared to the amount of effort we've put into, like, being really great paintball players, let's just say the three of us, like, I would say if we, between the three of us, put, like, a very small percentage of that effort into figuring out a way to make this shit actually more digestible, funner, easier to, like, the barrier of entry to get into tournament paintball easier, we could probably figure it out. But a lot of people don't want guys like us to figure it out. They want to hold the reins. And, like, that to me is problematic. But, ultimately, like, growing it as big as it can be, that's the goal. Getting as many people to understand that, like, getting out there and, like, shooting at people for fun can quite possibly be the greatest thing you'll ever do in your life. Like, that is a goal for me.
It hits something. And, like, when you're a kid, you run around and you play cops and robbers or whatever. It's this fun cat and mouse thing that we have in our DNA. It's like we're kind of hardwired for it.
Exactly. I was going to say it's probably a primal thing.
Yeah,
like, it probably is.
Hunting. I mean, it's hunting. You're hunting.
Seriously,
you are hunting. There we go. Out there.
Yeah.
And there's not dire consequences.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know enough about the layers of the league or any of that to really
don't get me wrong, I don't know that much either, but
but I do agree there is absolutely a way that we can broadcast it. And I know that the guys are working their butts off to figure these things out. And we just need, it's not missing much. We need a little bit of audio from the players. I think that would enhance the game a lot. And then also we need some onboard cam and we just need to be able to dance a little bit more. We don't want a show to go too static. So we want to be able to dance from an audio to an onboard cam to a hovering video, and like maybe we've talked about the video gamers. They have that square at the bottom of their screen and they can see where all the players are. Maybe getting that into the little HUD action. If we can incorporate, I think we're honestly moving straight towards it. I think it's in the future for sure.
So my question for you guys is like, what if, let's just say, the future of paintball came at the expense of the game that you guys fell in love with to play?
Completely changing the format, you mean?
Yeah. Like, what if it got to a version?
Sign me up.
which I know my answer already, right? But like, what if it was like not what you came to know and love, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would still know and love it, right? I mean, that's a hard thing to say. Like, I want the best for paintball for sure, but the reason that I love paintball is, and I don't, if it goes from 5-man to 7-man or that is irrelevant to me. But and I'm assuming, but this conversation is often in regards to one-on-one or team paintball. And for me, one-on-one is just not exciting. I love the team aspect of paintball. I love big moves because it's like a chess game. And when you see a player break through a guarded system, of another team, I think that speaks volumes, and the camaraderie and the teamwork. To me, that is paintball. So one-on-one is really cool. It's technical. I think you can build a good story around it. You can, create it as this like fight, and it can be this kind of violent thing, especially if you have hits in slow motion. So I get that too. It can be exciting to watch. To me, it would depend on what you're talking about. What does paintball look like in the new form? If one-on-ones were the only thing to take off and that was it, I don't know that I would love it as much, but I would support it. I would probably play it. Of course I'd play it. If that's the only competition, absolutely. I would play it. I don't think that it would ever be one or the other, though. I think if one-on-one did like completely take off and became this massive thing, it would shed light into 5-on-5 paintball, and people would then fall in love with that as well.
You'd hope so, because I don't think anybody's going to argue that playing one-on-ones is not as fun as playing 5-on-5. I don't think. Right. Granted,
some people might,
but exactly. I met some funny people, but I can't say that I met that person just yet.
That's the funnest part about it is like Marcella said, you get to, it's an all-out chess match, and with one-on-one it is as well, but it's different.
Real quick though, Archie, it seems like you have something in mind. Do you mind sharing?
No, I definitely don't. I personally, it's actually really interesting to because again, I don't put the thought into this kind of subject that often, but right now, just off the top of my head, it's actually quite interesting that 10-man has been blowing up so recently.
Yeah.
Right. And dude, honestly, my first national tournament was a 10-man tournament.
Yeah.
And honestly, dude, I love playing 10-man. It's
I
forgot how much fun it is. It's a blast, and it's just super interesting to kind of see that come around, and it's really gained steam, obviously since the Iron City Classic kind of happened a few years ago, but dude, it's probably tenfold since then, how many people are really adamant about playing 10-man paintball. And so it's just really, really interesting. Cause at one point that was posed as or we were told that's old, that's not going to work, whatever.
Yeah.
And right now, dude,
it's hot.
If you were to ask me, which is the thing right now, man, it's hard to argue that we shouldn't be trying that out, but it's just
I think
interesting.
The answer,
I
think the answer is all the formats. And treating the hyperball and the woods ball 10-man as equals almost, Tyler brings this up a lot on the show, but having an event where you have an airball field, you have hyperball, and you have a woods ball field, you have 3 separate fields and everyone goes through all of it. Or maybe
Cup.
You don't. Yeah. What's that?
Valken Cup. Do you guys remember that tournament?
Dude, I didn't play. Dynasty won.
Yeah. No, you guys had 2 teams though, so I don't know if playing the points. And,
Bro, it got outlandish. It got outlandish out there when we played Impact. Ask Impact what happened at Valkens Cup.
Yeah, okay.
What
I don't
happened?
know. All I know. Well, yeah, well, actually, yeah. Now Tyler just want to shit on him, huh?
Well, it went wild, dude. We won, but they were heated. They were heated. We played on this house field, and people were just bobbing and weaving in the houses. You know how it goes out there. And it was wild. It was a wild tournament. It was $25,000 that we won.
Yeah, it was a big prize. I wish we'd have brought 2 teams because it was definitely helpful to do that. But like we won the pump tournament, and that was the first time I'd ever played pump.
Oh,
it was awesome. Yeah, it was fun, and we're all like borrowing cockers and shit. It was fucking a blast.
Dude, I'm terrible at pump. I'm the worst pump player you've ever seen.
Which is so crazy because you have one of the best one balls in the league.
I think it was my pump.
That's a good point, right? Yeah.
I think it was my ball detents on my gun because the ball would always fall out, dude, and I would just shoot it blank.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
Tyler.
I don't think there are ball detents.
You have to have a small bore for those cockers because the bolt goes past the ball detents.
Someone sabotaged me and gave me the wrong bore size and didn't tell me.
Tyler just doesn't know how to pump.
More down.
No, I'm good at that. Believe me, I'm good at pump player. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's one of those things where I need to practice more. You know, I gotta get the bore size right. Got to make sure it's all dialed in.
You know, it'd be interesting to see pump tournaments like come full scale because like I know people play pump and like enjoy it, and honestly, like that weekend was fun. Like I remember when we won that pump tournament, we were jacked. I think we even took like pictures on the mount, like on the podium with our like pump gun, just because I can honestly say I've never done that before, but with the pump gun, it's like made sense. Yep. But like, yeah, it'd be cool. But like, as far as like, you know, kind of rounding up this thought, like I have no idea what, if any changes like are going to happen big time to like influence where this kind of paintball thing goes. But you know, for the most part, like some of the tried and true formats, like, I don't know, to me, it's hard to not look at those and just say, you know, maybe it's worth a shot.
I think, I agree, Arch. I think, in a way they are kind of doing that, right? With the ICC, Go Sports goes there and broadcasts it. I really, because I do put a lot of thought into it. I know Tyler does as well. It's something we talk about on a lot of the episodes with the guests, and it's something personally I think about often. But I really believe that the answer is all the formats, you know, and just give people an opportunity to play paintball in some way, shape, or form that they enjoy. Because if you have more ways for people to come and enjoy the game, you're going to have more people that fall in love with the game. And eventually maybe they go down the path where they enjoy and understand the skill involved in, you know, NXL, traditional 5-man where you're playing, you know, X-ball, right? And maybe then that helps the X-ball portion grow. But initially, just getting people to play and fall in love with the game, offer all the formats. And there can be the best at each format. You know, you look at other stuff like surfing, you know, you have longboard, shortboard, you look at snowboarding, skiing. It's like, are you going down the mountain as fast as you can go down the mountain, or are you going down and doing tricks? Like what is it that you do? You know, there's different formats in these other extreme sports. And I don't think there's any reason why not to have that in paintball, because we have a really cool part of it that's really sporty, and we try to make it, you know, a score system, you know, time clock, matches, really professional. But then we also have something going on that triggers with a lot that's like Call of Duty. It's like video games, and it's like, you know, you're in the woods. It's like your most primal thing. It's you're hunting, and it's like kind of like war, but with no real consequence. You can shake your buddy's hand on the other team after the game and go have a drink with them. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very unique thing.
And I love that. Shout out to the World Cup. We're heading into it here shortly. That the World Cup has so many different formats like that. Obviously not the wood ball, but they have 3-man, 5-man, 10-man, 7-man, mounds. They have,
that's right. Yeah.
They have a lot going on out there, which is really cool to see. Yeah,
Cup is always badass, dude. Like, I don't care who you are. Like,
it's the best.
Cup is just always a vibe, man. Like, always.
Truly is, man. Yeah, we can't. All of us, I'm sure, are frothing to see the layout and start working on everything and have some fun.
Next week, right?
Yep.
I mean,
next week
coming up.
Wednesday.
We're coming to see you. We're going to be heading out to X Factor Paintball to practice with you.
That's
next
right.
weekend.
We have a good weekend. With Infamous is coming down too that weekend. Did you know that?
There we go. Nice.
Yeah,
Didn't
so
know
it's
that.
going to be a 3-way. Yeah, they're going to
Okay.
be. I think we're starting on Friday, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's like I think it's just us and you guys on Sunday, but Heat will be there Infamous will be there on Friday, Saturday.
Cool.
So it'll be a good weekend.
Yeah, I think we'll be there on Friday as well. So we should see you out there.
I'm pretty sure I thought that's what the plan was. So
yeah, hell yeah.
We'll walk the field together.
Yeah. We'll break it down, We'll break it down.
There's nothing like showing up at World Cup. It's I don't know how to explain it. It truly feels like there's something in the air when you walk around World Cup. It's just special. Like the smell of the trees that are there, the spot, like it just walking around World Cup has always, to me, I still get the chills. I have the chills right now, just literally thinking about it. It's special. It's absolutely special being there.
I think it's just really the energy, bro. Cause like everybody is so pumped. Like, you know what I mean? And like, it's like when I think about like those things that we don't really understand, but like having a collective of individuals where people are just all like really pumped to be somewhere, like it's just like a special thing going on. You know what I mean?
That's
like, unless you're there, like, I don't know that you can quite understand it. Like I'm saying it, you know what I mean? But like,
you can feel it in your heart.
You can feel it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You feel it, dude. It's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's always one to look forward to, man. I'm really looking forward to Cup, as I am pretty much every year. But yeah, it'll be a good one. And also like, certainly with like the way the league is right now, it appears to be like, there's a bunch of teams that are kind of in the race, and even the lower tier teams are like kind of putting up fights against good teams now. It's quite interesting watching like bottom feeder teams not like at least put up games against some of the top guys now. Whereas, for the most part, that didn't really happen that often. So
yeah, the league is looking good.
In the league.
Yeah, it's definitely looking strong. Paintball as a whole is looking strong. There are more people looking at paintball, I think, now than ever, and getting out there and loading their hoppers up and going and giving it a go. And that goes all the way to the pros too. I feel like the pro scene has really matured in the last 3 seasons, and it's gotten very competitive, which is exactly what you want to see at the highest level of anything.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, to me, it seems like more guys are taking it like as serious as they can than ever before, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like you've got like, teams like LVL or NRG or, Aftermath, like there's a lot of people really trying real hard to be good, and that's good. That's really good. Like it's good.
Archie, I have a question. I have a question for you, since you bring that up and you talk about teams now working harder than ever before and trying harder than ever before. Agreed. Do you think the dynasty of today, say the dynasty that just won the last event, would beat the dynasty of 2004?
They would crush them. It wouldn't even be close.
In this format, yeah.
Yeah. Well, honestly, no.
In any format.
It wouldn't be close.
Dude, 7 men? Like 7 men?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah. Yeah, dude, the amount of thought that goes into like an event nowadays, it's absurd compared to the standard it was.
Angel for Goza, bro. Angel for Goza.
God, all right, I will say this.
The ghetto
dude.
superstar could go off and make some points.
Dude. I will say this. Angel, in my opinion, one of the more, like, obviously people that know about him or like were watching or in the game at that point in time know how dominant he was. But I still feel like he's super underrated.
Nobody knows.
A machine for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you would argue like without him, Dynasty might not have been anywhere near as successful. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were deep as hell, and that's why they were really great. But like Angel was a machine. Points. Exactly, dude. He was insane.
The fundamentals of today.
I played his last tournament with him.
Oh, that's crazy. Damn.
Yeah.
Wait, what? He went out and played?
I was on Dynasty
last.
for his last tournament. Yeah. And oddly enough, I have at least I thought it was kind of a funny story. So Johnny Perchak and Angel were both living in NorCal at the time, which I think Johnny's still up there. And I don't know about Angel, but at the time, Johnny was like a little, like paranoia about flying.
Of
Oh, yeah.
So
course,
he had
yeah.
like a certain strict set of rules on which flights were okay with Johnny by his rule book or whatever.
Yep.
Didn't make any sense to me, or probably anybody else at the time. But because they were buddies, Angel was at the mercy of Johnny's rule book, because one of his rules was, I'm not flying alone.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine being on a team with a guy where you're at the mercy of whatever his flight's choices are every time, right? So after World Cup, or I'm trying to think if it was World Cup or it was Vegas. It was the last tournament of the year, and it was his last tournament. We're like kind of celebrating and like giving Angel his last thing, and like Angel, like at kind of like I think Angel had his girlfriend there at the time. I want to say it was in Vegas. So it might have been the 7-man tournament. He looks over at us and he's like, all right, guys, well, I'm heading out, like whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, Johnny, by the way, I am not on your flight tomorrow, so fuck you. Something along those lines. And I was like, oh my God, it was really funny.
Dude, poor Johnny. He took a giant turd in his pants right there.
I vaguely remember like somebody in the group like checking up on him, like the next day when he got home or whatever. It was a particularly funny story for me though, because I remember just not expecting that at all. It was funny.
Shout out to the OG Dynasty crew. And I will say that today's Dynasty crew, the fundamentals obviously in 2021 of the game itself and just holding the marker and like all that is a whole different ball game. So there would be
an entirely different ball game.
So,
yeah.
The reason I asked Archie is because we just had Rich Telford on.
I know why this is coming, because I was told about that question. And I was told if I get asked that I've got a certain response that I should say.
What? By who?
According to Ryan. So I talked to Ryan a couple hours ago before I got on here. And Ryan was like, all right, dude, if they ask you this question about Rich, because they asked Rich like who would win, like players now versus players back then. Rich was like, well, one of the reasons why I think it's up for debate now is because we beat X Factor at ICC a couple years ago. Apparently, Rich said this. Yeah. I didn't hear this story, right?
Yeah. Wait, this is crazy. There was a whole conversation about this, and I asked the question. I feel like that's really random.
Ryan's really cerebral about stuff. He must have known this was coming.
Oh, for sure.
So he goes, look, this is what Rich said, and he failed to mention that it was on a woods ball field. He failed to mention that they had a much better side. He failed to mention that they also had Ironman players with them. And he failed to mention that it was also the first game. We stalemated. It's not like they beat us. We stalemated the game, and we both stalemated. It's not like they beat us. Like we both lost, and they didn't move on because of that stalemate. Yeah. So, and what was funny about that, and I always think this is hilarious too.
I swear he said it knocked you guys out of the tournament. Isn't that what he said?
It knocked them out of the tournament too.
Okay.
Because we both stalemated, you know what I mean? It was the first game. So if we stalemate and we win the next game, we're fine. But we didn't win the next game. We also stalemated the next game. So that's why we lost. But you know what I mean? And it was on one of those fields where it's like, all right, well, if you have that side, good luck. And if you have that side, you're sitting pretty.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing in these woods balls.
Exactly right. We had the good luck side both times. So it's just like, one of those things. So I'm glad you asked that question, because now Ryan's going to feel a little bit better about going to sleep here. I don't know, pretty soon, I guess.
That's funny though. That's really
pretty funny. Yeah. I actually kind of thought it was funny how much he cared about it, but whatever.
I mean, I was beside myself at the response, like you gotta, it's not even up for debate. It's no disrespect to the,
just go watch a video of yourself 10 years ago and tell me you wouldn't smoke yourself. Like really, it's not 100%. Even close. Yeah.
So Marsh, I forgot to tell you, I know we need a time machine. We got to get this stuff going. Marsh, my girl, obviously she wears my shirts. I'm like, yo, stop wearing my shirts. She always wears my shirts. She was wearing the shirt that you're wearing out to the supermarket, and someone said, hey, I listened to that podcast. I was like, what are you talking about? She said that when, so it's,
no way. I haven't had that happen once. That is unreal.
The PTG is growing. I don't know. It's crazy. Maybe it's just
number one podcast in paintball, baby.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got a eerily similar story that happened to me like a couple weeks ago. So I was like on my motorcycle, and I was like exiting my our garage here, and it's like I live in a high rise.
What kind of bike you got?
It's an old cafe racer. It's a 75 Yamaha XS
Sick.
650, but it's a cafe racer build. So it's like, doesn't look anything like a stock one, right?
No,
so
that's
it's like low handlebars and like a low seat. The back's a little bit lowered as well. And like all the front assembly is all minimalized. So it's like only just the speedometer on it, I think. And then
got it dialed in.
Same thing same thing with like all the lights. It's all like super minimal and clean. It could be like cleaned up a little bit, but it's a sick bike. I get compliments on it all the time.
Absolutely.
But so I'm coming down the ramp out of the garage, right? And this guy that is the valet parker, like literally across the street from my garage, I look up and he just goes like this to me. And I'm like, it caught me so off guard. I just like kind of kept driving, but I've been meaning to go back and like say what's up to him. It's just really, I mean, that's the last thing I was ever expecting.
For all the listeners, Archie just pulled up the trigger fingers.
Oh yeah, that's right. He double fingered me is what he did.
He double fingered me.
So he did the old trigger fingers and let you know.
He got me. He murked me hard. So
dude,
I mean, awesome. Dude, I was totally caught off guard. It's pretty funny. But,
paintball.
I need to pay that guy a visit. Seriously.
Yeah. Go say what's up. Paintball. That's the cool thing. I don't think there's another sports community quite like paintball. It's such an underground sport, and everybody, you know, Marsh said this, I can't remember when, but everybody knows the amount of effort it takes to do paintball. You know, they know how hard it is to get everybody together, all the sacrifice. So it's a really tight knit community with everybody. Yeah.
It's like if you meet someone that plays paintball, it's always like, well, we connect. Yeah. We're boys. We're good.
Understand. Yeah, exactly. A certain level of understanding, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a part of the reason that, honestly, I feel like paintball is growing. I feel like more and more people that I run into, they have a story about paintball.
Yeah, they know about it for sure.
More than ever before. I truly feel that way, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like
one of the things that I like consciously try to do in the off season is I at least invite people that haven't played to come play rec ball with me. Cause like, nice. I don't know about you guys, like I really enjoy going out and fucking around.
It's the
like
best.
Like I'll use like one of my mechanical guns, and I've got quite the arsenal now actually. And like I'll outfit all them with like my badass shit, you know what I mean? Like full the real good stuff. And they're just, you know, cause like a lot of people are like really intimidated by it. And I'm like, you know, I try to like disarm it a lot actually, because it's so welcoming and so much fun. Like, you know, I took my fiance last year. We went, me, Ryan, and his wife, Grayson came out, my fiance, and I was supposed to have a couple other buddies come too, but they were partying a little too hard on Friday night, so they did not show up. But dude, we just had a blast. And like any person that I've ever brought out there, it's like paintball is one of those things, like it's like 99.9% you had fun. And if you didn't, like, I would probably argue that you don't have fun doing much, you know, like, so it's just one of those things where everybody loves it. So, you know, it's so easy to have a good time, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I try to like consciously tell people anytime somebody's like, oh, wait, paintball, what? I'm like, dude, honestly, like just go play, because you'll have a blast. Like seriously, It's so much fun.
It is.
And certainly like at that like entry level kind of way to do it is like it's like the purest, most joyful, like easygoing kind of fun. It's a blast.
It's life and death.
Recommend it so much. Yeah.
Your first couple times.
Everybody's got a war story, dude.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's the best.
I mean, legitimately the first couple times I went, it was life or death. I was like, all right, we're going in, you know, like I might not be back, Mom. Like that's how I felt. You know? I was like 10 years old, you know, and we went in the middle of nowhere and we're playing paintball, and then we started going to the field. But it gave you a rush that I can't, like, unless you're into extreme sports, doing other extreme sports, you get a similar thing, but not quite what paintball does. It's a really heavy adrenaline rush. You know,
I mean, again, I think Archie, you said it earlier, there's some sort of primal instinct there, you know, hunting and being hunted, you know, again, our ancient ancestors literally had to look out for animals, you know, that were preying on us. And so they're,
who knows what kind of what chord is getting struck there in your body or in your programming there somewhere. Cause that's, again, like being hunted or hunting, like,
Yeah.
Those are thoughts that like, those aren't like thoughts in your brain, bro. Those are thoughts in your body, and from a long time ago, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Very,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Epigenetics there.
Yeah.
100%.
So we do have another question. This is actually from one of your followers. They were wondering how you go about juggling. You do a lot. You're a very busy man. Juggling, investments. You work really hard. You have a fiance and playing pro paintball. What is that journey like? Juggling all that kind of stuff.
So it's, I mean, I love it all, right? But like, so explain, what was the main part of the question there?
Like juggling the investments, your the workload, and then
I
being
got
a
you
pro
now.
paintball. Yeah.
So in my opinion, like as far as like let's just say how you're gonna do that, or how you're gonna juggle, let's say, a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to think that it starts with not putting too much on your plate. I think that's really important, because if you just if you have too much, you're just not gonna you're gonna be lacking in everything, right? And if you really can hit hard on the things that you do choose to take on, you're gonna be way more impactful with everything you do, way more successful for sure, and it'll likely teach you how to do other things better as a result of those things as well. So I think it really is as simple as starting with less, and kind of like what I was saying earlier, I really recommend anybody just kind of learning how to master something. And in that in itself, really focusing on that, you'll really figure out a lot of stuff quick, and things that are applicable to everything else, but yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, and the other thing is also attitude is everything. I'm really, one of the things that I'm really grateful, I kind of fell into, and I don't know why, but I fell into philosophy at a relatively young age, as a young adult. And I know some people would argue that oh, reading quotes and shit is stupid. And that's not really good, what, and by all means, I bless their heart, but for me, understanding the meaning behind sayings and word, and dude, it's had a profound effect on the way I live my life on an everyday basis. And I mean that. And not only on an everyday basis, but on an every thought basis. And if you think about how many thoughts you have in a day, you couldn't count them, to be honest with you. But honestly, some of the philosophy that I've read and I've practiced for a long time has helped me immensely, way more than I could even ever begin to give credit for. You know what I mean? So much so that I really recommend a deep dive into philosophy for anybody. And I absolutely mean that. I could not suggest it more.
I couldn't agree more with you. There's nothing more powerful than the spoken word and the written word. I think that it is what creates reality, to be honest. The words that you hold the highest in your mind are going to ripple out into the fabric, and that's what you're going to be, you're going to be a part of. So it's imperative that you put good words in there and read the good stuff. You know what I mean? It's everything.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I loved hearing you say that so much that my hair is just standing on edge right now.
Yeah.
I love that you use the fabric. It just spreads out into the fabric. Oh, that's honestly, dude, that's like putting a hammer right on a fucking nail.
Yeah.
People do not understand the power that words, thoughts, it's just again, dude, the fabric. That's such a good line, man.
I mean, really I got the chills now that you're saying it,
seriously, dude, I'm feeling it right now, and you're far away from me,
but
that's good. It's so true, dude.
It is. And Bruce Lee would always say, be water. And he understands that we're a part of an ocean. And yeah, your drop might be your drop, but you're a part of an ocean. And we have to really come to terms with that reality, because if we've got to boost this Team Earth thing, man, we got to move this in the right direction, and we got to be the ocean, we got to be the water. We got to move in as much unison as we can. And with the highest level of, like I said, empathy and love in the heart for just for making sure that we, I want my children's children to inherit a beautiful place. I want
Amen.
for the future generations to inherit an absolutely miraculously beautiful place, and that we have to make sure is held in the highest regard. You know, it's too slippery not to. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's so true, dude. And again, like one quote I haven't even like, it just came to mind when you're speaking like that is like, if we knew the power of our thoughts, we would never think a bad thought again. Right. And like, honestly, dude, like, tell me, I know for a fact that has hit with you guys and me on both the positive end of that and the negative. You know what I mean? Like, it's always like, oh man, why the, you know, it's like, I mean, like, I'll relate it to playing golf, and like, you get out there and you see water and you're like, all right, don't hit it over there. Where is it going? Straight in the water. And then you're like, it's funny. Why'd I think that thought, you know, like, cause that happens, bro. And that happens every day of everyone's life. We just don't understand it that well. You know what I mean? But like, dude, again, if you understood the power of a thought, you would never even think about thinking a bad thought, even in the worst circumstance of your life. You wouldn't even fathom to think of a bad thought if you knew the power of them. You know
Seriously.
what I mean? Like, no matter what was happening.
I push back a little bit.
It's easier to say than to do, but it's the intention, right? It all comes back to intention and having
for sure
positive intention.
I want to hear your thought on that, Marsh.
Yeah, I push back just a little bit on that because I think for me personally, it's more of the perception of my thoughts and how I choose to believe them. But to have certain negative thoughts or bad thoughts actually makes me realize what I want and what I want to give attention to. You know what I mean? Like,
you know, that's a great, in practice, like that actually is a better way to practice it. Right. Cause like, there's also like the thought about like, you know, it's funny, man, it's been like 2 hours and we haven't even really talked about like paintball. It's kind of funny. We've been talking about thoughts, but like what I think about is like being like super radically honest. Right. And like that being radically honest is being honest with yourself when you have a bad thought, but also like just kind of letting it go.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's why in practice, that's probably really more what it looks like.
Right.
Not just because, I mean, good luck having no bad thoughts.
Doesn't happen.
But you can try. But, you know, again, even when you have a bad thought, sending it on its way and acknowledging it, and then it doesn't trip you up. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree for sure.
That's very important. That's such huge information there. You know, what you're saying is not getting caught up on it, you know, and not dwelling and being in the moment, you know, being straight in the moment.
It's normal to have bad thoughts, you know, it truly is. And like you said, Archie, you're right. It's just recognizing it and letting it be on its way, not dwelling on it, not letting it consume you, not absorbing all of it and believing it. Right. But these bad thoughts often put me in check a little bit. They make me realize, okay, this could be a bad action, you know, or this could be a bad outcome. So I'm going to choose this path, you know. That comes from being hyper aware. Right. And it takes a long time to get to that point. And I strive for it all the time. I'm not even fully there. You know,
Absolutely.
I would be a fool if I said I'm fully aware, you know?
You know, a thought just came to mind because we were talking about like being hyper aware and really understanding your thoughts. And I always feel like you play your best paintball when you're like just in tune, right? Hyper aware, really understanding, let's just say, everything about an event. Right. And the teams you're playing or whatever, right. You're just kind of like on it. Right. Like, I mean, you guys won plenty of tournaments to understand that when things are going your way, like you're just kind of like in this heightened sense of things. Right. And like, I can remember a really good example of having a weird ass thought and sending it on its way is in Philly 2 years ago in the overtime point. When we were down 4-on-5, Meter got shot off the break, and I looked over at him, and he got shot like 5 seconds in. He literally shot off the break and then made a move. And I was in the Dorito. I was our Dorito guy on that particular point overtime. And I looked over and I see Meter get diced up going somewhere. And the immediate thought I have was like, all right, we're factor 4. Like I look up at the clock and it's like 4:45, you know, by the time I actually looked up there. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, what do we do here? Do we just grind it out? And then my thought went a little bit further. I even fed that thought more than I should have. I thought, well, fuck, if we grind it out, this is going to be a one-on-ones. And I was thinking in my head, do I want to play a one-on-one? And I literally didn't even answer it. I just sent it on its way. and fucking got back in tune to what was going on. And thankfully I did, because as a result of me sending that thought out there, I ended up being able to win, have the game-winning match,
finals MVP, event MVP, game-winning move, dude. You balled
just a couple minutes later, dude.
Yeah.
Just literally a minute and a half later, I was thinking, a minute and a half before that, I was thinking, should we just suck in and fucking hide and play over and go to one-on-ones? I was like, get the fuck out of here,
Yeah.
But I had that thought. I knew it wasn't serving me, so I was just like, get the hell out of here, bro. You know?
That's powerful, dude. That's powerful, because in paintball, people second guess themselves all the time. I know I do as well. It's like something that I constantly, it's riding the line.
We all do. Like, it happens every point you play in like micro little nanoseconds. But that's why, like, what I relate it to is like when you win a tournament and just everything's kind of in tune. It's like you really get, you understand where those thoughts are, which ones are serving you and which ones aren't. And it's like almost like you're just, the best way for me to describe it is just being in tune. Whatever you were doing to get that in tune, like, you try to replicate it as much as you can, because there are those things that you just can't quite explain happening for you versus to you.
That was a huge year. You want to kind of talk about 2019 and what that year meant to you? Cause that was a big one.
Yeah, we can definitely brush up on it. I mean, the team, X Factor, we've been a super consistent team, even still, even though like, we definitely haven't had our success. I mean, granted, we just got out of the final, so that's great. But we hadn't won a tournament in like 5 or 6 years. It's been a long time, but super consistent and in a lot of finals. And I think it had been like 4 or 5 finals where he had gotten second place, right? And, nonetheless, like, for me, it was definitely like I was definitely learning a lot about my own spirituality and getting into deeper kind of levels of philosophy for myself. And, thankfully we were able as a team to like get past the hump and really kind of find a groove in there and be in tune for even just a few months of time out of each season can pay off really big for you. And we ended up, we went 2 tournaments, undefeated, which is pretty epic. Or maybe, I'm not quite, I think it was 2 full tournaments undefeated, which is pretty badass. And, I got the MVP for the season, which is also like, to me, that's like one of those like lifetime achievement kind of goals where it's just really, really tough to do. And, like, I look at the league and like, I really absolutely respect, like, anybody that's like really trying to be the best. And I don't mean like saying they're trying to be the best. I mean, guys that are actually like living it, like really putting everything into being the best. Because like, I understand what that's like, and I understand how difficult and how hard it is. And I understand that 99% of those people every year aren't the best, and like you're dumping a lot of shit into that, thing. And what you maybe the goal you were looking for isn't what you ended up with, but like, I really reciprocate and understand and appreciate that like effort. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that effort because we're all like this, dude. We're all like, and so it helped me to unpack and understand and elevate myself as a player, human, anything helped me throughout my entire life, just doing that, trying to be better, and so I welcome and I appreciate all the guys trying to do that and push that level. It's really, without all those guys doing it, like, it really wouldn't be what it is, and that's the beauty of it. And so, and obviously like being around with Alex and like pretty much all the guys on the team, I think winning the series championship is probably that's the ultimate goal for a team. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know we play a team sport. Like, I don't know what is the better goal than winning the series championship other than doing it again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, for a team that hadn't done it in pro yet, it's just a badass fucking year. It's just really awesome. And also the way in which it happened, and certainly like the level of play, like it's like, there's a really good ass teams. Like, it's hard to argue that. And like, I still make this argument. Like, it's hard to argue that the Russians weren't the best team in the world that year. Like, they were awesome, dude. They were so good, and we just barely edged them out. And like, You know, it sucks like for those guys, but like they push that boundary and, you know, gives you the opportunity to rise to it or push it a little bit further, you know, and like that season in general, like no doubt, hands down, will be my favorite season ever because of the other opportunity I got, which is on the other side of the pond with the Golden State Kings, you know, like, and I know Marcelo and I kind of chatted a little bit about it earlier, but like, dude, and again, it's like you appreciating that team really showed me and opened my eyes to a lot, you know, and I'm just really grateful for it. I really am. I really can say wholeheartedly, like that was one of 2019 absolutely will go down in my eyes up to this point as my favorite year in paintball. And not just because we won the series championship, but it was really more about what was like kind of learned and done and seen and felt and understood, you know, whether, even if we hadn't have won the series championship and if the Russians had beat Heat in the finals there, we wouldn't have won it. I would have still, no doubt in my mind, said that that was my favorite year in paintball, 100%, 100 times over, you know, up to this point. So
I didn't even put that together, actually, that year that we got to play together with the Kings.
Yeah.
Because Golden State Kings is like one of my all-time favorite groups.
Epic,
too.
Dude.
It was
such
awesome,
a badass team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that was, same time, 2019, you had all the success with X Factor in the States.
Yeah. And
Dude,
again,
it was a good year.
Like,
good year, Arch.
I was around studs all year round, you know, like how couldn't I be playing at my peak? You know what I mean? Like, think about that. And that's the way I understood it to myself, dude. Like, you know, and that's one of the things, like when you're talking about like paintball advice or great paintball advice, like, bro, be honest with yourself. Like, I'm around studs. I'm either going to learn from them. Or I'm going to like try to be like, act like I can't learn from them. Bro, like, yeah, I know for a fact what all the best guys, like the best players ever at any sport would say. Dude, they're going to soak it all up. They're not going to be sitting there on their high horse, bro. Like, no seriously. Way. It's an opportunity, bro. And if you don't see opportunity, god damn, dude, you're just blind. Seriously.
Yeah, it's a major problem. And you do see it a lot in all sports. But that's why those players typically won't ever reach those heights, right?
That's why I always related to the greatest. They're all like, when you understand what it takes to be like that, you have an immense appreciation for it because it's really about checking your ego and really learning how to like master incoming information, you know?
There was a great clip that I recently saw on Instagram of Kobe and Bill Russell talking after one of the games. And Kobe said something to Bill, and Bill was like, huh? He's like, oh, you knew about that? And Kobe's like, I read your book. Yeah, you know, like, I read your book, you know? That's Kobe's one of the greatest of all time. Bill Russell, one of the absolute greatest of all time, undeniable. Yeah. And Kobe didn't have shame. He was trying to learn from everybody before him, around him, that was doing it at the highest capacity. You know, the other champions of his sport. You're silly not to be a sponge. If you have the opportunity to be around those people. Yeah, I agree. That year in 2019 too is the same for me. I mean, I know we all felt that way. We just look around. It's like so many bright minds of the game. It was awesome to just be a part of that and to be able to absorb each other's knowledge and feed off of it, you know? And
I don't know that, like, it's almost like it behooves me almost, because like when I think about how well we clicked, like from the very first event, dude, it was just all like totally everybody understood what was going on here. You know what I mean? Hey, look, we don't have a lot of time. We just got to be good with our time. We're all really great. Seriously. We don't got a lot of time. We got, you know, a little bit, and we can make that work. You know what I mean? And that's what we did. Everybody was like a sponge, dude. There was no dumb bickering, none of that, dude. It was literally, if this conversation isn't helping us be better, we're not having it. Yeah. And also, there was no, like, nothing was personal, you know? Everything was just like, we're just trying to get better. Everybody understood that very well. And like,
that's so important. That's such an
super important, you know?
Yeah. Because a lot of the times there's, like you said, there's ego drawn in, there's personal feelings, and you got to check it all for the betterment of the team. And being around like that Kings time was a special thing because it was Can you guys drop the roster name on us so everybody knows who the roster was?
Yeah, it was me, Marcelo, Kyle, Ryan Greenspan, Blake Yarber. We had Johnny. Rainey came in for the last 2 events, and Charlie.
Shout out to Johnny Greer. For the listeners that don't know what Johnny we're talking about, Johnny Greer was
Johnny
awesome
Greer.
addition.
That's right. Yeah, really good. And
So
obviously, thank you to Charlie for even just allowing it to happen, because like that, there's no way that would happen without Charlie. Period. End of story.
Absolutely.
And so, like, super grateful. And then last year when we played the little exhibition, it was minus Marcelo and Ryan, and we brought in, I think it might have been one more too, but we had Meter, Jesse, and Nick come in.
Yeah. So a collective of just rock stars, a bunch of rock stars having fun playing paintball. Yeah. And like you said, you know, you guys all just checked it at the door and you had good conversations. You asked good questions. You got down to the nitty gritty of what needed to be accomplished in order to get the goal done. And it was just pretty point blank, I would imagine. Like, and you had a ton of fun at the same time, you know?
Well, I was about to say the only thing I didn't touch on was how that actually we had a blast. Like,
That's
we had
right.
a shitload of fun.
Which is very
was
important.
One of the most fun times I've ever had at an event. Sunday night was insane. The casino was good. Everything was good, dude.
God,
Sunday night
I forgot about that. I forgot about
we were sitting at that blackjack table.
Dude,
losing money. We're like, we got to keep going back to the ATM. We went back and finally we just started hitting, dude. We went on a run.
It's hard to believe I forgot that. But once you say casino, I'm like, oh, I know the place now.
Yeah.
That place is hard to leave.
It was right on top of the other place.
Yeah, exactly. The other place also hard to leave.
So this is what I'm saying. You guys, you know, when you have fun, it also creates, you have to have that fun energy. I think that's a huge component that maybe a lot of teams are missing in the organization. You have got to be really having fun. I mean, laughing till your cheeks hurt, your belly can't take no more. You got a cramp. You're like, I can't laugh anymore. I'm cramping, you know, like it's got to be that much fun, because that is going to create that really positive energy that you'll carry onto the field too. And you guys are just going to keep having fun, keep winning, keep dominating. It's an important aspect.
Yeah, you're hitting on that one for sure, Tyler, because you're right. Like, that atmosphere only creates a better atmosphere to have, you know. And again, when you have, you know, it's like World Cup, bro. You know, you have good energy, bro. Yep. It's just it's hard to harder to miss when you've got really good vibe, you know. Yeah, it's harder to miss. You still can miss, but it's harder.
Oh yeah. When the chemistry is right, on a team, especially if the team has talent, it's so hard to beat. There's so much trust involved in paintball. There's so much, you know, like personal belief and confidence is a huge part of it. So when you have good chemistry with people, you're all boosting each other, and not just, you know, saying like, let's, you know, get it up or boost each other, which you hear in everyone's pits, right?
Yeah.
When the team, like, that's part of the fabric of the team, right?
Yep.
It's a different story. It's game over. It's hard to beat those teams. That's when you see those teams go on runs. That's what you guys had in 2019 for those two events. You had that mojo, you know, that belief, that camaraderie, the chemistry, that was part of the organization. It's with all the good teams, you know, when it clicks, it clicks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to understand it too, but it's like, it's such a delicate thing too. It doesn't take much to, like, you know, whatever. And that's why it's hard to keep it going for a long time, you know?
That's so true.
Yeah. So coaching now, I travel and I work with this divisional team, Wrecking Crew. Shout out to Wrecking Crew, based out of New York. And I've worked with them for like 3 seasons now. And this year we had a kind of a full turnover. About half the team parted ways, and you know, the owner and I were talking, like, how are we going to rebuild this thing? You know, what should we do? We want to bring in some younger, hungry players that are more conducive to the goals of the team, right? Let's put it that way. And so anyway, I was like, hey, I've got a couple kids, you know, I know some players that would fit the mold. They're really hungry. They want to grind. They're willing to travel. So I had put this team together, and keep in mind, I was coaching this team in this league, and they had just bumped up to D3, and they hadn't won in this series in D3 yet. So we put together this team, and the only practice we had was on Saturday. The event was on Sunday, right? So everyone flies in, everyone meets each other. It's a whole, you know, thing. And we have one day to prepare. And then the next day we're playing in the event and competing against other teams that have been grinding all season, right? So we had a hard practice, put them through the ringer, definitely challenged them, made them kind of get in each other's faces. But then that night we had a team meeting, and traditionally I always have a really serious team meeting, and we go over, game plans. We go over all the different things, codes, everything. This night I kind of threw it all out the window, and I brought a deck of cards, and I had us play this game that I remember we used to play on the Ironman. It's called Killer. I don't know if you're familiar with that game, but it's pretty fun. You hand out a bunch of cards. You have 2 aces in there. The aces, those people who ever get the ace, they're the killers. So there's like a narrator, you have the town go to sleep, you have the killers wake up, and they point at who they want to kill in the game. And then everybody wakes up, and you try to save people. You try to guess who the killer is. It's this whole thing, right? But what I remember of it is, Tyler, I think you might have played this game before, right? I know Oliver used to.
We played it a lot when Ollie was on the team. We would always play this.
Oliver was a big proponent of this game.
Yeah.
So the game gets loud and obnoxious because like the goal, if you're the killers, is to secretly kill everybody and not have them guess that it's you, and if you get to the end, because players are eliminated in each round, you win. So you go through this thing of like arguing, and if someone points at Tyler, I'm like, oh, that must have been, hey, that's for sure Alex would definitely kill Tyler because of this. And like you get in this, it's really fun. It's great for team chemistry. And we didn't talk anything paintball, right? But everybody loosened up. Everybody had a good time. Everybody was laughing. Everybody like got on the same page. We went out the next morning at the event and went undefeated all the way through. The guys won the event, first time together. And I mean, again, it's a small D3 tournament, but I put a lot of it on, and I know they don't. I know they don't realize, like, a lot of them are like, why are we doing this rather than, talking about what we should be talking about. But it really, I saw it, from my perspective, I saw it bring the players together a little bit. And it's just so funny how things like that can happen, and the importance of chemistry in the game. It's undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes like what you're doing there is kind of disarming them from each other, and so that they could come in and arm up as one, right? That's really, that's a cool story. And I've played that game before. It's been a long time. I don't really recall it, but that's a pretty good card game if I remember correctly.
It's so fun, dude. Yeah. Cause it just gets loud, and it's like, everyone's arguing of like, no, I'm not, I swear it's not me.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's
because typically the killer is like, lying to everybody. Obviously he's not going to say, remember A-Rod, when we would play, Alex Rodriguez was on Dynasty, and A-Rod would have the funniest narrative. Like even though he would be the killer, he would just say like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. And he would say that to everything. So no matter what you said, he would say the same thing. And we're like, bro, if you're not, stand up for yourself. Like
A-Rod was the worst dude of all time. He was the absolute worst. He let the townspeople get smoked down.
It was funny though. It was I understood because he chose a tact and he stuck with it. And I was like, okay, I feel that. But man, it's just it's a fun game.
He was playing the long game, so like he would do that every time in hopes that the one time he's actually the killer, he would have the same strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel like, we're not even voting for you anymore. It's a waste.
Yeah, dude, it's a good game, and for team bonding, doing stuff like that is definitely something that you got to have fun. Like we said, you got to have fun. You got to be smiling, and then the paintball. The paintball will come. Everybody knows how to ball. And if you're having fun, it just seems to happen. Oh, we got the dog on the show.
There we go. How is Sir Quigley?
He's a king, man. He definitely can't complain. I know that.
Yeah.
Because he is spoiled as can be.
That's
look at him.
He just sat here next to me and kind of looked up at me like, get on the camera. So
he's adorable. So for the YouTube, honestly, check out Quig.
Yeah, this is my buddy Quigley. He's turning 7 here in like about a month. And,
wow.
Dude, I can't. It's funny because I grew up like not really being a dog guy. Well, actually, it was because my mom.
More of a cat guy.
My mom got attacked by a dog when she was a child. Ooh. So guess what she's gonna do when she has children? Not gonna have a dog around, right? Mm-hmm. And so again, I was taking on that prejudice for pretty much my entire life, and it wasn't until I had Quigley that I really just totally blossomed into like, oh my god, like I could never not have, and like. Bless my heart the day this guy's not around, because I know how much I'm going to be upset and crying and whatnot. But then it'll be an opportunity to get, have another experience with another beautiful, being on this planet.
Yeah.
All right. I got to go take a little quick leak.
Okay.
But I dude, honestly, I like it all, but I feel like we haven't covered some stuff that I know
we haven't. Yeah, for sure.
And I got plenty of time, so it is what it is, but I'll make this quick.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. That's one of the best parts about the show is getting to meet everybody's dog, you get to see the dogs. Hang out with the dogs.
Man, I got to pee too. I'll wait.
Go run for it.
No, what are you going to do? You're going to talk to the listeners by yourself?
I'll man the ship here. Yeah.
You got it?
I think so. Yeah, I think I got it.
I'll be quick. Quick. You got it.
All right, PTG world. We got a double bathroom break going on right now. And what an honor it is to be able to talk with Archie about the paintball game and start to pick his brain on, exactly how he processes paintball and big points. Like we heard in that finals game, it's all about slowing it down and just making really good decisions and having not only a good conversation with your teammates out there, but with yourself, and being able to send the thoughts away that aren't going to serve you, or use the ones that are going to really empower you and get the job done out there. And that's something that we can take a step further in life in general as well. But I'm really excited to pick both of these guys' brains. I can't have both of them who were just in the finals of Chicago in front of me and not talk about that. So I'm sure we're going to dive into that in a second. And we got Archie. Archie's the first one back from the bathroom break.
That was totally necessary for me.
I know how
that's what I get for filling up my big thing here before we started, because I just tend to sip and then man, an hour later you're done. Don't stand a chance.
All right, we got Marsh back from the bathroom break.
Lovely.
I was just talking about processing, all this information and how imperative it is and how honored we are to have you on the show. And I was also saying, I can't have both of you sitting here in front of me and us not talk about NXL Chicago. You were both in the finals. So I definitely want to.
Oh my God. Dude, that's hard to believe. We haven't even brought that up at all yet. That's crazy. Yeah, that's funny.
So I do want to kind of dive into that rabbit hole for a second and talk about Chicago, talk about the finals. And then we have a bunch of questions from the PTG World chat community that they are super excited that you're on the show and want to ask you some questions as well. So let's talk about Chicago. And should we just dive into the finals game, I guess?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll give a little bit of a backstory, and certainly, we've been hit a little bit by some injury bug lately on the team. I don't know if you guys remember last year at World Cup, I severely rolled my ankle and I ended up partially tearing some ligaments in my ankle. Thankfully, now it's not a thing I even think about anymore. But for up until Chicago, it was on my mind every time we play. But Cody got in the last event, which was in Philly at that Desert Open. Mm-hmm. He tore his hamstring and he still couldn't play. TJ is dealing with a knee, or he's rehabbing a knee from a knee surgery, which honestly, I should have him reach out to you, Marcelo, maybe. See if
it seems like by now, man,
he's taken him a long time.
It's unfortunate.
There's something going on. Yeah, for sure. And he's gotten back in and played some weekends, but inevitably it seems to be when he gets involved with it a little bit more, it ends up kind of sidelining him again. Yeah. And then Rainey is dealing with some sort of back issue. I think he's had it before, but at the tournament, he only played 1 point in the finals. Now, thankfully, we got some new blood, and both those guys really balled out. We got Shorty. Honestly, dude, it's crazy. But Shorty came from Diesel. Oddly enough, Shorty has played with Ryan and Grayson literally 15 years ago. And he played on X Factor and the Dark Ages, which is what they call them when I went to Dynasty. He played on X Factor as well, which is it's funny, but I didn't play with him at the time, but. And then Anthony is a younger kid. He's not a kid. He's an adult, but he's in his younger 20s, and he's just real sharp, aggressive, stud. And he played last year's World Cup with the Trade My Gun Outlaws with his other divisional teammate, Marky Franz. So they came from a divisional team. They played with Trade My Gun, and they actually both played really, really good. And we decided to bring Anthony up. He's been we bring him out to practice and stuff. So he's definitely capable. And obviously he played really great throughout the weekend, and as did Shorty. So honestly, having those guys come in and kind of produce like for us, definitely we wouldn't have made the finals without them doing such, because we're just like, honestly, without those two guys, we were down to like 5 or 6 bodies total, so and then I would say for the most part, I mean, I can't argue with making the finals. That's a level of success and certainly better than we've done all year, which is great. You guys stomped us pretty good in the prelims, which y'all have had our number a little bit the last couple go arounds. And then, on Sunday, we kind of were able to find some form and really kind of play the field to our strengths. I would argue in the finals, we kind of maybe didn't really, it's hard to say, but like we just had some things play out differently. Like we chose to do things differently as players in that match than we had been doing up until that point. And you know how it is, dude. Like the team that wins on Sunday elevates throughout the event, and on Sunday afternoon is fully elevated and really probably can't do much better. And we just didn't match that level, and that's why the game, like, even though, I don't know the final score. I think they ended up winning by 3, but like it was not in our hands the whole go of it. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that happens. I hate to not put up like a worthy like performance in a final match, like as a team. That sucks. But at the same time, like there's a lot of positive to take from it. We've got some new guys. We are playing good. We're finally rounding out a little bit more. We just need to get into that little groove, hopefully early, and stay the line. You know what I mean? Stay the course the whole way through the event. But definitely feel like, Cup's a good opportunity for a lot of teams to win. A lot of teams are really playing good. And that's the other thing that's kind of cool, is seeing a bunch of good teams like kind of fighting and really in that hunt for the title. So it's cool. And obviously, like, I love all the dynasty guys. Like I really do. So like seeing those guys win, like my hat is totally off, and I'm really genuinely happy for them to win, even at, at the cost of myself losing, you know what I mean?
That's man, I can't even begin to say how generous and like, not generous, but just like heartfelt that is to say to the team that beat you in the finals. And I couldn't agree with you more. I was so happy for Alex as the Golden Barrel winner, and just like it was just amazing to see him put that kind of a performance on the board like that.
Yeah, to say like that, honestly, that might have been the coolest thing about the tournament, is like seeing like what you would consider like an old Jedi master, like totally fucking be masterful out there, like as if it was him and his like totally prime self, you know what I mean? Because he was just wheeling and dealing all weekend, it was really cool to see. And also, like, he's probably riding everybody's energy of just wishing him to do that. You know what I mean? Like, he was just fucking masterful. You know what I mean? It was really cool.
It was. I have never been more happy for an MVP than him. It was special, to say the least. Yeah, watching his energy, like, even at the practices and then coming into the event, everything about what he did that weekend is going to go down in the history books. And man, I'm just really proud that I was able to be there with him on that. You know, he just, it was vintage. It was awesome. It was better than vintage, he flipped a switch and he played so amazing.
Totally masterful. And honestly, really couldn't happen to a better guy. Like, seriously, 100%. Like it's hard. It's hard to explain that one, but like, man, that was a fucking really fucking badass weekend for Al. Like, seriously, so happy, proud, elated, like totally awesome for that to happen.
Have you, by chance, listened to any of his interviews since?
I listened to the one he did on, he came on here, right?
He did,
like a few weeks ago. I did. I did listen to it, but I don't like really recall like, a lot of it, I mean, obviously like Alex is hilarious. So like, I do remember laughing a lot on that one. I actually vividly remember listening to it over my speaker in our living room. And I remember laughing because there was something that he hit, like he kind of like made a point, and it happened to do with something like something with my fiance and myself. Like it was like kind of relevant for something we were discussing. And I remember looking at her like, is she listening? Is she not listening? She was like, I know what you're thinking. And I was like, no, you don't. It was kind of a funny thing, but like, I mean, I like, for the most part, like whenever you guys have like a really like a legend on here, like I'm going to find time to make the time for it, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was just asking because I thought it was really, and it's just so true to who Alex is. He's so real, and he's always okay with being vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And he's just a genuinely great person, but he spoke to his performance, or spoke on his performance, and gave a lot of that to the fact that he had a breakthrough therapy session on Thursday. You know?
Yeah, I do actually remember a little bit of that conversation. Yeah. And
not many people would admit that,
dude,
you know?
The first thought was like, damn, you know, like Alex, because again, and what he's doing there is he's being honest with himself and honest with everyone else. And like, you really cannot commend that enough, because most people are not going to have most people aren't sure of themselves enough to do something like that. You know
most people don't have the balls to do that.
Yeah, seriously.
Period. Like, yeah. And he is just so okay with it. And it's, I mean, I know even hearing that and just reinforcing that perspective, I mean, it helps me. I know it helps everybody out there, because everybody struggles with stuff personally. You're not going to go through life without those bad thoughts.
No doubt.
The key is learning to understand them and put them in the right direction. And he's put a lot of focus on that. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see, get back to practice with him and see him at the next event too. Cause I think that was rejuvenating for him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The first practice after winning event is always the best. Like it is, because nice. You know what I mean? And it's a shame that like the Kings, we didn't get to have that, but it always is the best. Like if you win an event during the season and then the first practice back, you're just like, you know how it is. It's just fuck yeah. You know, it's tight. It's fucking tight.
Who are you guys?
I bet you guys are looking forward to that. That's going to be tight.
Yeah. Marsh, who are you guys practicing going into World Cup?
We have Uprising weekend 1 and Impact weekend 2. Impact and DMG, I should say.
Nice. Shout out to Did It Hurt Paintball. He's a part of the DMG camp, and he's part of the PTG fam. So major shout out to him.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's been a lot of fun, dude. The community is lit, and they are excited to have you on.
So explain the Discord. So is it like, are you guys in there like on your microphones a fair amount of the time, or is like just a chat too as well?
Yeah, it's just chat. We sometimes do some voice stuff because you can create different rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah, correct.
We just hang out in there. I mean, the community, honestly, like it's more about them, right? They have built this amazing community and camaraderie and like group of friends. We actually there's going to be a PTG 10-man team at World Cup. They've formed a 10-man group.
God, that is sick.
It's so cool, badass. Right? Like, we're having jerseys made for them, from HK, which is cool, but they've done everything else to formulate this.
That's awesome, dude.
It's really badass.
That's honestly really cool, because like that would not have happened without you guys doing this thing.
And
those guys are going to have hopefully some sort of, remember we're talking about World Cup, so they're going and they're feeling that energy and they're feeling that vibe. So like hopefully those guys are going to have, win or lose, some formidable experience for themselves that they'll take away for the rest of their lives. That's
for sure.
It's timeless, man. We love it, and we're super honored and grateful for each and every person that's in there. We have the best time ever. Me and Marsh spend countless hours just chatting about, different things, different ideas, the community and the members, and just making sure we provide them with the best platform we can.
There's a lot of like provocative conversation in there too, honestly. At night I'll just hop on and I'll get in there, and there's really good dialogue going back and forth about the state of the league, state of paintball, fitness, health. Like there's some really cool individuals in there, right? What?
Maybe tomorrow weather modification is going to be deep in there.
Weather modification for sure. Because they talk about all the shows too. So absolutely.
I might have to get access to this Discord so I can kind of get my ducks in a row as far as my own understanding of it.
Yeah, we'll send you a link for sure, dude. We have like a pro player hangout that it's kind of been dead, to be honest, because we can't ask the other pros to want to interact, but
like I have a Discord, and like whenever, like again, I'll check it every once in a while. So like, I'll get in there.
Absolutely. There's a lot of pro players that are in there. Nick Slowiak, he hangs out in there all the time. And pretty much, if you come on the show, you have free access to hang out with the community and be a part of the Discord as well. So we'll definitely get you in there.
Cool. Yeah, that's the one thing. And I like try to give my thanks about like obviously there's so many things to thank about paintball, but the community really is like, that's the end all be all, because like, no matter what I'm going to take away from like the lessons I learned through this game personally, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of them, and I'm forever grateful for those. However, the community, that's exactly why we get sucked in. We don't get sucked 100%. In because we're just out there playing around by ourselves. Like, we get sucked in because it's like everybody that's out there on kind of that same like little tune, where we're just having fucking fun and doing our thing and enjoying it and embracing it and like trying to get new people into, like, that's what it's about. Yeah. That's what paintball really has. Like, if you play paintball, you understand it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And everybody's got each other's backs, and it's a fun game too. Nonetheless, you get to run around and pelt each other up with these paintballs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pelt them up. Pelt them up, baby.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So Arch, how about, we talked about Chicago. How about, the rest of, the state of X Factor, how you guys are doing? You've had some success in 10-man this year with Infamous. Fuck, you guys posted a picture where there's like 100 rings. You guys won everything in 10-man.
Jesus. Honestly, dude, it's wild, because like I consider those 10-mans like, well, for one, they are very hard to win. They really are not that easy. Like Iron City Classic, it's really tough because you're fighting the format, not just other guys.
For sure.
Like, you're fighting the field layout, not just other guys. You're fighting a coin toss. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough to win the Iron City Classic. We won it a few years ago as X Factor, and then we won it this year as Infamous. And again, it's just not that easy to win those. And the other ones too, like, again, like at the first event in like the Northeast Open, we're going into the finals, and it's Cap Factory, Ground Zero, who has a couple pros, and then us. And Ground Zero and Cap play, and Ground Zero beats Cap with a 98, right? And you're doing round robin, we're thinking, holy shit, like, we're fucked. We can't even win. And then we play Ground Zero and 99 them. So this is like, oh, well, geez, that just went totally full spectrum on them now. But yeah, just those events are really tough. So 10-man's been fantastic. X-Ball been a little bit up and down. We've definitely, like, the first event, I think we lost to Impact by 1 point, who ended up going to win the tournament. We lost to them in the quarterfinal round. Right. And so, like, dependent on our previous ranking, I think we played you guys in that, what do they call it? The relegation, or not the relegation, but the wild card round. Right. So, like, win or lose there, it's like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, because if you don't, you're 9th or 10th place, which is not great for either of our teams. And then if you win, you're just now more tired for your next game against a better, like a team that is playing better, that, let's say, the days leading up. And so we win the game with you guys, and we lose to Impact by 1 point, but we're like, it was hot and humid in Florida. We're gassed, and so they go on to beat everybody else worse than us. And it's just like, man, it's tough to, like, to me, the circumstance on that is really tough to take away, because it's just like, man, dude, like, we can't be in those wildcard games because you're just so damned on those. Like, if you're playing a fresh team and you're just a little bit gassed on the right layout, like, man, it really sucks. So, still going away from that event, we lost Impact by 1 point. They won the tournament pretty dominantly, in my opinion. So it's kind of just like, all right, well, we're in good shape. And then we go into Philly.
I feel like they shouldn't beat Infamous in the finals.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess. You know what? I didn't actually see that final match. But again, I'm just thinking in my head, like, they should win this. Talent alone, they should win this match. I mean, they're just super deep. And granted, like, in particularly, Mouse was playing on fire. And honestly, like, it's hard to beat a team when they're like, their front snake guy is just on it. You know what I mean? It really is. It's tough. And that was a pretty polarizing snake, if I remember correctly. So I just thought they were going to win, so I just didn't think anything of it. But yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I do remember it was a close game. It was a 1 point game too.
I think it was 2-1, 2-1. So super low scoring, but dude, it was 1-1, and Infamous was up 5-on-3.
Oh no,
5-on-2. Sorry, it was a 5-on-2, and they got a major penalty, brought it down to a 2-on-1, and then Mouse, like, made a great move, shot Greg crossfield, and then traded with Cody Mikowski. in the 2-on-1, so it was a no point.
Yeah.
And
but I mean,
the momentum,
that's a steal.
That's
right
it.
there.
That's the game right
Yep.
there. Yeah. And then Impact won the
Damn.
next point, and they won 2-1. So it was
Yeah.
like, oh, you guys, I mean, you had it, you know?
Yeah, that was the
You
match.
had it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Because if they win that point, they're up.
Yeah. It's tough.
And apparently, if that match was playing that slow, I mean,
right.
no free points. So yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
I know. I remember walking through the airport and watching that point and like out loud being like, "What?" People are looking at me.
Man, now I feel bad because like the beauty about playing 10-man with those infamous guys is like we've become part of the team. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I love all those guys. Honestly, that's a great group to play paintball with. They're a lot of fun. They get it. Like we're here to have fun and we're here to do good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's a fun ass fucking group. I really, really enjoy playing with those guys. And we've been playing with them for a couple seasons. But yeah, so it's kind of funny because now both of us are all like a little more invested in each other's success at the events, even that we're against.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's funny. And then, Philly, Philly's the worst I think we've done in like probably 6 years or longer, maybe 10 years. I mean, essentially we played a wild card game against Infamous and we lost, but the fashion in which we lost and also the way in which we played the tournament, we went 3-1, we lost to Heat. And, but we were never really on it, in tune with, we were not playing together. We were not understanding the field the right way. And more importantly than both of those, we were not having the right attitudes. And it doesn't matter how good the other two parts of that are, like attitude is everything, man. And unfortunately that's where we really failed that weekend, and we failed ugly and miserably. And thankfully we were able to kind of right it, and that's where I was telling you guys earlier, like, teams can be fragile sometimes, and sometimes like it doesn't take much to just get in a funk, and that funk can fester and fuck with everything. You know what I mean? And like up until that point, like, out of the past 5 tournaments, we'd won 2 of them and been in the finals in 1 of them. And I was injured for that match that we didn't win, so it's like you could take away a lot with where we're at as a team. But after Philly, man, it was like, holy fuck, where are we? And that was a tough one, you know what I mean? But we kind of held another practice before the layouts to kind of get out of that a little bit and kind of clear some space. And thankfully, I think that helped quite a bit. And also, I think, having some time away, everybody, because there's like a little bit longer gap between that one and Chicago. So kind of just let things be. And, thankfully we're able to at least put up a good little run in Chicago, and hopefully, here for the last event at Cup.
Yeah, I was going to say, so, in your eyes, you guys had a really bad showing in Philly. How does the team go back, regroup, forget about it, and then come and make a finals appearance? What did that look like, your practices? Did you guys change anything, talk about anything, or did you just go about, business as usual?
Well, no, like what I was telling you guys about in Philly, what was so like detrimental to the team was the attitude. Like that was basically of the utmost importance for the Chicago, and that started with like a month before the tournament when we had the first practice. And it was really like, it was from the get-go, like, look guys, like we cannot be successful without the positivity and like really having each other and like understanding that we're all here for the better part of each other, like that's what we're here for. We're not here to be, fucking nagging about dumb shit or resenting other dumb shit or fucking arguing about more dumb shit. We're here to come together about what's fucking good and what's not good. And we can send the not good stuff and focus more on what's good and revamp it, understand it better, build it up a little bit more, get deeper into it. And then usually when you do that to a good enough extent, you end up doing all right. And so thankfully, and it's tough sometimes, dude, it's tough to see the light there when you get into those funky, weird spots. And ultimately, like having faith and having some direction and having some intent, like you said earlier, Tyler, is a good place to start. We all you know, we can all know it's easy to say what we all want the same goal, which is to, you know, win a tournament, right? What do we do to get there? Well, sometimes it's as easy as scratching everything and throwing it all away and starting fresh with, hey, let's have faith in each other and let's have a good attitude and let's learn this fucking field. You know what I mean? And thankfully, when you do that, people tend to play better when they're in a good mood and they're happier and they're feeling good. You know what I mean? So, yeah, good thing is like we kind of got around that, and I think that'll teach us a little more going forward, and hopefully we can build on it at Cup.
Arch, I have to ask something actually to kind of backtrack it, because I don't understand where it came from, and I don't know if it was me, but in the final match when you won the point for your team, but then you had the penalty for the hit in your back.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because I've replayed it over and over, and I don't know who shot you unless it was me blind shooting over.
My assumption is when I left the back center at the beginning of the point, Blake shot me. And I do remember when I left, I was thinking, well, because like Blake and I were in a little fight, and I thought he stayed in, and he came right back out. But it's also like only 2 steps. It's not like to block him out. It's like I'm not going at the bunker. I just went sideways to block him out. And so like, granted, obviously I didn't feel anything. And I think,
right, of course.
Yeah. You know, whatever. And also at the time there was a ref that owns that spot too. So like I sidestepped in front of a ref. So like I sidestepped.
In the video, he like waves you off. You can see on the webcast. He's like, you're good.
Yeah. So, and again, I vividly remember that. Cause like, that's the thing. Like I'm looking at paint coming at me, and I know I'm not for sure going to make my spot. That's what's going through my head. I didn't feel anything hit me. I look at the guy because there's usually a ref owning that position there in the middle. And I remember seeing this. So I'm like, all right, cool. We're gravy. That's my assumption, because there's no other way I would have been shot in the pack unless it was an old hit. But I'm going to say I'd rather give it to Blake than say it was an old hit. You know what I mean? Because I knew when I took my first step, I was like, oh, fuck. And then when I got to the bunker, when I got behind the tower, not at it, but behind it, I was like, oh, we dodged a bullet. You know what I mean? But then when I got there and hung it, I was like, you know, the ref said it and I was like, fuck. I mean, for me, it was like, it had to have been when Blake shot me, because there was no other chance for me to get shot in that spot.
I was in the Dorito corner shooting a blind shot over into
dude,
that.
You're hiding the whole game, the whole match. No, not possible. Maybe, I don't know.
I thought it was kind of crazy. And I've been meaning to ask you if it was an old hit or something or what, because that sucks.
I think it was Blake, but you know, again, like your guess is probably better than mine. If you say it was you, then I'll let you take it from Blake.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's me. I watched the footage though, because I did want to figure it out. You know, my gun was definitely inside from the corner, but again, Blake was also shooting that way. But talk about turning points in a match, because right there. That's
trust me, it's not a good feeling for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And thankfully, we were still like able to kind of get in it, because I think that thankfully it was just a no point, right? It wasn't a swing.
Correct.
But still, like y'all were up.
It would have been 2-1 instead of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a big point, you know, and obviously, and like, you know, I kind of, unfortunately, like, you know, there's just nothing you can do about it in the moment other than just let it be, you know, like it's like we were talking about earlier, like, is that going to serve me going forward? Not really. And unfortunately, like, it's easy to let things get in your fucking head, you know, like at one point in the match, I was upset about something, and enough so to the point where I said something. And unfortunately, like, I really believe what I said needed to be said, because what we were doing wasn't going to get us to where we wanted to be, you know, but it's frustrating being on that edge of like, fuck, man, like we're not what we're doing isn't working, and like having a thought on what's not working for you and what might work for you, and like, you know, at the same time you're at this point like down 3 points or whatever, and it's like frustration set in, and you understand that these opportunities just don't come that frequently, you know what I mean? So, you know,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. And that's where like that line, like what I'm telling you guys, or what I had said about like philosophy being a really big, important factor in my life, dude. Like, trust me, man, like there's times where I wish it was more of a factor in my brain than not, you know what I mean? But that's the beauty of practicing it, so that the more times you practice it, hopefully in certain moments you are in tune enough to listen to the right thing before you even know it's right.
Yeah.
You know? And that's one thing that I believe happens when you are in tune. You pick up on the right things before you know them to be right. You know?
Yeah, and it's a fine line too of knowing in your heart, especially as an experienced player, someone who's won everything there is to win. Sometimes when you like know that the path is different, there's a fine line of like, when do I speak up and when don't I? Because you don't want to try to overpower, say, a coach or the hierarchy of a team. Like, it's really tough to ride that line with grace.
Yeah, and partially like, and some of it is like, you know, sometimes you just can't really explain what happens out there, you know, like, and that's the truth, dude. Sometimes like you have the right idea and maybe you've been executing it the whole tournament. And for some reason in one match, things just play differently. People make slightly different decisions that in the grand scheme of things, you don't think make much of a difference, but let's say in the worst circumstance, they do make a big difference, you know? And ultimately all that is that process of getting there and coming a little short. It's just an opportunity to learn from it. Learn from it, move forward, and hopefully the next time it doesn't happen, or you're able to make the adjustment or see it happening before it's too late, you know, like give yourself some more time. But you know, that's the name of the game. Like you're just trying to avoid catastrophe out there.
Yeah.
The more experience you have unfortunately, sometimes in the catastrophe, you can hopefully better see it coming the next time.
Absolutely. And, you know, on behalf of PTG, we hope everybody on X Factor is doing well and healthy coming into Cup. I know you said that there's some injuries, so our hearts go out to them. And
the good news is I think we're getting Colt back, which is like, obviously I don't need to
Colt
explain
45.
how big of a help that is. You know, we haven't had him I guess we had him in Philly, which is, I felt so bad too, because like he didn't play last year at World Cup. We definitely could have used him. He didn't play in Florida. We definitely could have used him. He comes to Philly and we as a team just were terrible. And he played pretty damn good, you know? And I felt like, honestly, I felt so bad. I'm like, God damn it, dude. Like, dude comes back and we're just like a bunch of idiots, you know? Like, God damn. And then he couldn't go to Chicago. So it's just like, you know, but I believe he's definitely coming to World Cup, so that'll be nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Breaking,
so that's
breaking news.
That's game breaking news right here. Yeah.
Breaking news. Love that.
So that's actually really exciting. And Colt's like, obviously I don't got to toot his horn at all. And he's just a long standing member on the team. So it's just like any time we're there without him is a little fucking strange.
Yeah. He's a legend. Colt 45. Yeah. He's
big time.
Yeah, I saw a slow motion video of him. I think it was on HK Army.
Oh, dude, that actually is a business video. That was from Philly.
Bunkering Harrison?
I think
that too, but no, there's like a weird
dodged and shot the guy.
He dodges the ball and shoots one ball, and like he's like going through the middle of the field.
Yeah,
it's sick. I'll try to find it for you, but it's pretty sick. He's going through the middle and like kind of going through to another team's wedge, right? And there's a guy looking at him and he's like shooting at him, and Colt like dodges the ball, shoots one shot and hits him in the face with it. And then like gets him. It's a pretty it's in slow-mo too, so it looks particularly badass.
See, that right there is what paintball needs more of. That's it. Exactly that is it. Done. Dude, we will go viral.
Gunfighting slowed down is fascinating.
Yes.
It really there's like a few years ago when I did the pro tour, the first one with Ryan, and I just like blew him away. It
never got released.
Never did. I think Ryan had something to do with that, but poor guy, you know. Anyways, I don't even want to explain how bad it was, but it was bad.
Yeah.
So one of the edits was like just us going back and forth slow-mo. It's sick. It's like maddening almost how cool it is to see that fight exchange in like really slow time where you can see all the balls in the air. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, I know. We actually chat about that on the show of, you know, someday having like a You know, when we go in to get paint and air, having that time to show slow-mo and do that kind of stuff, I think it'd be really cool to see for the viewers.
Yeah, no, it's really neat. I mean, I'm surprised that hasn't been more of a thing, because like every time you see it, it's always like, whoa, that's sick. And
yeah,
okay, like a year will go by and you won't see it again.
Yep. No, we need more slow-mo for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to talk about Project Paintball, Project PB. Talk to us about that. What's cracking?
Yeah, so you know, Project was an interesting thought. So I don't know exactly like when the inception of the idea of having a paintball brand was, like, because like, you know, for years we've all been selling jerseys and shit, like our equipment, obviously, but like I think at the beginning of 2019 when we first went to JT, the real idea I had was when we went to JT was creating straps for the goggles, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'll show you. I got one right here.
Yeah, you guys have been absolutely demolishing the market.
So essentially what I did was I came to an agreement with Rabikoff, Steve, and I asked if I could make aftermarket straps for the goggles. And at the time they weren't really pushing the goggles at all. Like we were like the only team wearing them when we first did this 2 years ago. Now, like when you look around, dude, they're everywhere. Right. So, but I started selling straps for them, and like I made like 60 designs. Like I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right. And so obviously I saw that kind of slowly take off. And then after I won the Top Gun in Philly, when we won that tournament, I won. And at that tournament, I had started using a die barrel set. Right. And they sponsor us for our loaders. So after the tournament, they made me like a custom barrel.
Yeah,
and it just said Top Gun on it. It's all gold. I'm the only one in the world that has it. Right. I still have it. And I used it for the rest of that season. So then I was like, man, that's a really cool idea. So then I just being curious, and I also really enjoy unique stuff. Like the reason I started making these goofy straps was not for anybody other than myself. I didn't want to wear the stock black one. Yeah. I wanted to have some like flavor on my shit.
Yeah.
So I made a few designs and I wore them. And then I said, hey, can I make more? Yeah. Okay, cool. So for a while there, I had like a good thing. You know, it's still great. It's a good thing. But then with the die barrel, I said, hey, you know what? Like, can I order like 30? Can I like custom make a barrel set and just, you know, I'll buy them all and I'll try to sell them. And I did. First time I made 20 gold barrel sets, MVP sets, had my number on them, custom milled. Like they say die on them, but on one side they say MVP, have my number etched in.
Yeah.
And they sold out in like fucking 10 seconds. You know, like I was like, holy shit, I should have made a lot more. So then I made a second set of that and another slightly different version. And slowly but surely I started realizing like, you know, essentially like how much influence we have in the game with our equipment and, you know, like what you guys are doing right now. You know what I mean? People are paying attention to what we're doing. And for us to not be involved in a little bit of that is silly. And so that's why for me, like that's where it started for me. And like in 2 years time, now there's a lot of people getting involved in this stuff and it's really important. So Project, again, the idea came from, and it actually spawned several years ago where I mean, you probably think I'm crazy, and honestly, I am kind of crazy, but like 5 years ago, I hit up Jack Wood, who's the designer of the CS2. And I straight up said to him, hey man, like, can we get custom guns? Like custom milled guns. And at the time, it wasn't just like not really a part of their plan. And so and this wasn't for my own idea. I wanted this just so that I could have one. Like not to do anything else. And if you guys remember, like for years I had custom milled CS2s where like Vintage Paintball, who's Aaron Tholey.
That's
you
right.
guys might remember him.
Yeah.
He would custom mill my gun and I'd use it for the year. Right. And he would do like some crazy shit with them. It was awesome. And so essentially what I ended up doing was asking and then like being able to commit to buying, you know, all said guns, you know, to do it. And so, projects first started with a Planet Eclipse private label, CS2, which it's this one right here. This has got my mech frame on it, which I actually just sold this gun today, by the way.
Hey, that's such a beautiful gun.
It's a fucking sick gun. And it's the same engine, same gun, But it's kind of like way back in the day when we all got started, like there was, you'd buy an Intimidator, but not just any Intimidator. You could pick from 10 or 11 different flavors. You know what I mean? And that's like something that's not really available to the consumer nowadays. And so, essentially I bet on my idea that it would work out. And thankfully the first set, and dude, honestly, like the night before I did the release, I was so like punching myself. I was actually really butthurt. And I don't know if I should really tell the story, but another manufacturer kind of shit on me, to be honest with you. Said I didn't know what I was doing. I was making a huge mistake, that I was going to be sitting on, a shitload of money, essentially. Like I wasn't going to sell shit. And thankfully the next day I was shortly redeemed. I only had to sit with those thoughts for a little while, because about 10 hours later I had sold out of,
yeah, sounds like a hater.
Yeah, well it was. And what sucks about it is somebody I looked up to be honest with you. Yeah. And so that ended up coming around full circle. I got an apology. And honestly, in probably the best way possible. It didn't come from him. It came from, like his business partner. So it was just kind of funny, but whatever, names don't need to be said. But so, yeah, essentially, again, I've always enjoyed having custom limited run, like low quantity stuff that you just don't see. Like right now, you go to any field and you're going to see everybody that's got a very similar gun.
Yeah.
The only variant would be their color of it. Right. And so like being able to just do kind of limited stuff for people that appreciate it. That's the whole idea. And so I started with the first one. Ryan Brand is a partner in the company as well. And he was a part of the whole like initial idea and kind of thoughts, and then the creative design on it. And so then since then we started doing like other like limited stuff. We've done some JT straps. We've done a dye barrel. We've done some Pro DNA tanks. We've got a few other things that are coming out in the next few months as well. A couple of which I'm really, really excited about. And, that's pretty much the premise of the brand. And what's interesting to see is, yeah, like you guys have brought, and obviously it's like a thing now, but like this is starting to become more mainstream, where players are now a little more involved with what's hitting the market. And it's pretty fucking cool. Like, like my hat is off to all those guys. Like Mark over there at Sandana has done like a really great job. And he started this a long time ago. And then, like Hormesis, dude, like, fuck, man, they totally are like crushed it with that. And then like Kyle and Mouse's thing, like, dude, again, like it's really cool. Cause it's essentially guys are getting to vote on guys that they look up to, appreciate, in a host of different ways. And ultimately, like, that's fucking badass. And the real thing that I think this boils down to is like, again, as players and pro players or upper players in the league, we do have a lot of influence on what goes on, and we get to luckily inspire some people to play more paintball. And a lot of times it's as simple as selling them this. They get this and they're like, fuck yeah, dude, I cannot wait to play for the next several weeks, right? Or, oh yeah, I just got my Hormesis headband, man. Fuck yeah, I can't wait to go show it off. You know what I mean? And like, it really is as simple as that. And that vibe, like I just got the chills talking about that vibe, not even having it. You know what I mean? That vibe is what everybody fucking loves, and everybody wants to support, everybody wants to be a part of. And that's the whole fucking point.
That's it.
It's all about the culture. The pro players now are like building out the culture, man.
Exactly right, dude. So it's cool. It's cool as fuck. It's really great. Like my favorite part about it is going to a tournament and somebody like walking up and saying, bro, thank you, man. Like I really fucking love this gun. You know what I mean? Like, or dude, like now, cause I see the straps, everybody's wearing JT straps. And I'm like, I walk around and just feel the people wearing the straps that I fucking made. It's fucking cool.
Dude, that is awesome.
That might be a super rewarding part. I've got one other weird ass idea in my brain before I leave this game that has not been touched by a player yet. And hopefully I will have the time, energy, effort, and like also my life happens to lend itself to me fulfilling that idea, because I think it's a really good one. And I think more so than being a player would like really put my stamp on this game that we really all appreciate and love.
Oh, that sounds. We can't wait to watch that manifest into reality.
Yeah,
if you ever,
no guarantees on that. Like,
well, if you ever,
a small opportunity to start it, and I chose not to. But maybe in the future. It's been on my mind a little bit more recently.
Well, if you ever want some good brothers in the game to start it with, PTG would be happy to help you in
Amen.
any way that we can.
Actually, that's actually a really good. I hadn't quite thought of that yet, but that actually is a good place to fabricate some ideas.
We're always here for you, and the paintball community as a whole. That's been the most rewarding too for us is just connecting with everybody. Dude. So you got some hot breaking news for World Cup. What do you got dropping out there? I know you got something sick.
No. Well, no, not really. Like, unfortunately, like as far as I don't know if you're meaning for project or from like myself or our team or whatever. Not much. Yeah, because like project, the cool part about project is because everything's limited run. Like everything sells out quick. You know, like when we did the guns that we have guns coming here. We actually are getting them about World Cup, but they're all sold out. Like we sold out.
Nice.
Wow. So that's kind of wild. You know, I guess I could float an idea that has been in my head a little more recently, which might be might be a thing, but like, there's a fair chance that I might stop playing after World Cup. And like a lot of people probably that would be a little bit surprising. But
whoa. No. What are you talking about, baby?
I haven't like made up my mind on it all the way, but like it's been a more realized thought than ever before. And there's many reasons for that.
Yeah.
You know, and none of which I'm really going to get into, but ultimately, like, you guys obviously know what we put into this game and like the amount of effort and the to be at a level, you know, there's a lot of like respect and effort and time and energy and stuff that goes into that. And while I'm super fucking grateful that I've had all of that to give to the game for a long time, sometimes you have other things going on that you maybe want to dive into. And like, I do have some other thoughts that I know I want to fully commit to, fully dive into, and to do it while like, I couldn't half-ass paintball and I couldn't half-ass that either.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, you know, the thought of me not playing is a little more real now, and I'm okay with it. And granted, I've always been okay with that time because I know that time is coming. And I think people avoid that time as long as they can, you know, for whatever reason. And like, I actually don't want to do that because like, I actually think it's really beautiful. Like what Oliver did, you know, like some people would say he left some in the tank and others would say he used that tank to do other stuff. You know, and don't get me wrong, like I'm young, I'm in shape, like I could play for a long time. And don't get me wrong, I know if I didn't play, I would really want to come back and play. And I'm sure I'd play the 10 mans or like certainly Iron City, you know, and like I would still play rec ball, you know, but it's just would be on a different level of precedence in my life, you know, and you know, it'll be, you know, if I decide to do that, that'll be an interesting kind of turn of events. And if I don't, well, then you guys aren't getting rid of me just yet.
You just dropped a bomb in here, dude.
Yeah,
Holy
dude, that is a massive piece of news. And I know I could speak on behalf of the whole community. I definitely hope it does not happen. The paintball game, you're such a huge part of the fabric of the paintball community and professional paintball, and you have raised the bar, you know, multiple times. So
you're gonna get a lot of blowback.
True, but I realize all that needs to happen. Tyler, look, we can shut this down. Don't let Archie win World Cup because then he's gonna ride off into the sunset. And
oh man!
don't let Archie win World Cup.
To pass on. That's fair.
We're gonna have the whole league come together. We're not gonna let Archie ride off into the sunset on that one.
Yeah, but you also run like I always feel like that's such a conflict because like then you run the risk of like not like getting that taste again. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. That might be harder to walk away from. Like.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is a tough one for sure.
It's just tricky, you know? Like you think about like Michael Jordan, dude, like obviously you can't argue what he did was fucking amazing, but like you also do wonder like, well, bro, would you have ever lost again?
Yeah, I know.
Like
if he didn't go to baseball, would he have 8?
Right.
Would he have 8?
It's so strange. Yeah, it's just a crazy thought.
But but it's the unknown. The reality, the facts, the stats are he was undefeated in the finals, 6-0, just champ. And so it leads even more to the mind, to the magic of it, because you're like, what if he stayed?
Yeah,
that's true. And so there is beauty to that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this: you're going to get major blowback off this, bro. You're not going anywhere. What do you think?
We'll see.
What do you think?
Again, everybody thinks you owe it to them, but
No, in all reality, I support your journey full-heartedly in whatever you do, and I'm super proud of you as a paintball player, as a businessman, as a person, and I hope that whatever your heart is telling you to do, man, that's you. That's your experience, and I can tell you that if you did leave, man, it would be a hole that couldn't be filled, because you have done so much for paintball. And I know I speak on behalf of paintball, the community, when I say that. And thank you, man. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Are you? I appreciate that, Tyler. I really do. Yeah. Go ahead, Marcel.
You gonna pull a JR? JR Smith? Are you pursuing a pro golf career?
JR, the basketball player.
God, dude. So I'm not bullshitting. I think that's like possibly the coolest thing in sports right now. Like,
me too.
How epic is that, dude? You're talking about like he's won the championship twice, right? 2 or 3 times. I think it's twice because it was with.
I think you're right.
Was it with Cleveland? It was definitely with Cleveland, and then did he not win it with the Lakers?
No.
He wasn't on the team when they won it.
Yeah,
in the bubble?
Think so.
I don't know why. I thought he was.
Yeah, I feel like he was on the team early and then released.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe you're not wrong, but I don't know why. I thought he was on the bubble team. But nonetheless, pro basketball dude who's still good enough to play. Like, he could play, right? And he goes to college to play golf with a bunch of like normal people. That's awesome.
Yeah, real quick. Like, this story, I've been glued to this story because I think it's one of the coolest stories as well. First of all, JR is perceived to be not an intellectual person. He's definitely perceived to be a bit of a bozo. Not
correct.
to speak on him like that, but that's the perception.
Is funny. It is funny though.
Yeah, and so the first step was he was going back to school to get a degree, and he was very public about it on his social media, on Twitter, Instagram, and stuff. And he was like going to class, and he's like, I really want to get my degree. I want to educate myself and be smarter. That alone, I was like, this is an amazing story, man. And he's airing it out. It's fantastic. And then he decides to sign up for the college golf team, and he's really pursuing a career in golf. I think it is fucking gold. It is fucking gold.
So he's won 2. He won with the Cavaliers in 2016 and then the Lakers in 2020.
Okay, so he was in the bubble. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. He didn't play. Does it really count?
It counts.
Yeah, fair.
I got it.
He got the ring, right?
He got the ring.
I bet he'd say it counts.
I bet I would say it doesn't.
Well, maybe actually you might be right because you know how it is. Like,
you know how athletes are.
You can be exactly right. It's a polarizing issue for sure. Some people are like, "Fuck no, that ain't my ring." Whatever. That's probably why rings get sold. But that being said, I'm surprised we actually got through this. It's just been 3 hours now and not really talk about golf because honestly, like, and that's one thing I do tell people a lot. Like, dude, golf is very similar to paintball in that like it will totally test you. Yeah, and like. Ultimately, it's really about how honest you're going to be with yourself, right? Like, are you going to take ownership for what you're doing, or are you not going to take ownership? Because if you're not going to take ownership, bro, you're not going to be any good, and that's the truth, bro. And like, it's funny, they say you don't really understand things well until you can explain them like simply. Now, I just realized that I understand paintball well because paintball straight up is just a truth teller. It's if you listen to it, it will get you where you want to be. And if you don't believe what's being told to you, then good luck.
Yeah,
I wish you well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't say it any sharper or any more concise than that. It really is the ultimate truth teller, and
you can't hide from it, bro.
You can't hide. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't hide from it out there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's clear as day, especially, and that's why Marcelo and myself, we talk about running film and watching film and doing all those things because it gives you these insights that you wouldn't have otherwise. And it's very important to know the truth, and the film tells the truth, you know?
Dude, yeah, the truth is everything, bro. Because like, I mean, honestly, that's where you make educated decisions from.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely.
Totally. Emotion removed.
Yep.
Get to just actually, see things for what they are. Man, Arch, again, like you said, we could continue this for hours. I'm sure.
It was a good one, man.
We'll
get back on here.
Well, no, we do have to continue it because we have
to continue. We got questions.
Yeah, we
got
a couple questions. Yeah. So we have
we thought I was gonna drop the bomb and just walk on out of here.
Yeah, no way.
All right. See ya.
Yeah. No way.
Oh, nice. I like, you guys are stepping up the quality.
We got the
hi-hat. We got it all. So we have partnered with Iconic Paintball. Huge shout out to Quinn Nadeau, one of the main writers over at Pro Paintball. Love what he's doing. He's doing just amazing things for the sport. And it's all like charitable work. The dude's not in it for any sort of money.
Him in Chicago. Cool dude.
Yeah. Cool dude. And just really in it to kind of legitimize what we're doing and help, spread the stories, create superheroes, all the stuff that like when we were kids, the articles that we would read about the pros, that's what hooked us. All this stuff is so important to the growth of our sport. So we've partnered with Iconic Paintball. They're doing some really cool stuff at the end of the year. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but they have a bunch of awards that they're giving out, like Iconic Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Snake Player of the Year, Team of the Year,
wow. I did not know
Creator of the Year. Like it's really cool. And they're going to do a whole production around it. And I think it's fantastic. It's good for the sport. Hopefully we can stay consistent with it over the next 10, 15, 20. Hopefully it can become a staple, right? Because in the past, we've had stuff that's like this. And unfortunately, it doesn't always stick around. And that's like always been what paintball fights is the ever-changing door of like, what we do. But I think this could be, a great building block to the future paintball. So in each show, Quinn sends over a question and we ask an iconic question to the guest. So the question is, Archie, you rose to prominence during the golden era of the NPPL. How did playing the 7-man format help to shape your game? And do you think playing that style helped develop your elite field vision?
So the first part of the question is how did it feel growing up in that era?
How did it shape your game? How did playing the 7-man format help to shape your game? And do you think playing that style developed your elite vision?
Yeah, for sure. So one, I do think it did. And two, or the main part of the question though, is like the way I'd explain it is like you're playing with more characters, so therefore the game is more complex just from the get-go, always will be, because there's more options. Right. And so it's kind of like now, and I hate to say this, but I do believe it. Paintball is very much a dumbed down version of paintball than it used to be. It used to be a lot more creativity, thought, like even just lane control and traps they were a lot harder to do, but there was more thought involved to do them as well. Like now you can set traps because there's like big pillows in the 50 that you can just go up to and hide the whole time and wait for a guy to cross it. But in 7-man, like you'd have to be a little more creative on how to set a trap and understanding a trap, reading a trap. And there's 7 guys on the field, and you take 2 of those away, it does naturally make it a lot simpler, and so, yeah, I mean, I would argue, it's like the same thing, like you can watch OBJ, he's like catching footballs from a football throwing machine one-handed, and they're coming at him so fast, and he's just like, boom, boom, boom. Well, guess what, dude? Now when Baker Mayfield's, throwing a ball, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, that guy's got a cannon too, but he's overtraining to make it easier on him, right? So similar kind of concept, and same thing. Like I started playing 10-man. I started playing 10-man when I was 15. So to go from 10 guys on the field, and don't get me wrong, I still love that. But like to go down to 5, it's just a way simpler version. I mean, essentially, you can get away in X-ball of like kind of just knowing where 3 guys are. To be honest, with the way the fields are, like. I mean, not all the time, but like it's just a lot easier to keep track of those bodies. So, you become a master at owning where every guy on the field is when 7 guys are there and what each of those guys are doing. Like it just naturally lends itself to you're going to be okay as far as field awareness on a 5-man field,
Yeah, I know. I'd love to see, like we talk about, like our whole entire squad versus another pro squad, big 10-man pro games.
That would be badass.
That
Honestly.
would be crazy.
I really think like 7-man, and granted, I think I saw like a website about this Huntington Beach event thing, and I don't know if it's just like somebody blowing smoke or not.
Yeah.
But there's a website about a Huntington Beach MPPL 7-man happening.
We saw that.
In the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw
I don't know
that.
who's behind it. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I would imagine that would be fucking badass.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If they can, we've been trying to get down to the bottom of that whole thing with.
Really? So nobody's spilling the beans yet, huh?
Yeah. What's the scoop on that, Marsh? Do you know?
Marcelo just looks like he's got like just a guilty conscience.
Hold on. I'm not even going to try to pretend like I heard what you said because I was reading the Discord questions.
Okay.
Are we talking about Pro Paintball Troll?
I don't know.
That's what we're talking about.
I was talking about the MPP, like this Huntington Beach, like 7-man thing. Do you know
I've got scoop on that. Yeah, I think it's legit. I think it started as a little bit of a joke.
Yeah.
I think it started as not a joke even, just kind of like let's see what the hype's about, right?
Talking shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and it got such good traction that the person behind it really wants to make it not a league, but like a novelty event. Much like the ICC, which I think is a fucking brilliant idea.
Yeah,
if you had an awesome 7-man novelty event once a year in a cool location, I think it's brilliant. So I would love to talk to the person and just kind of see, what the ideas are. I know it's not cheap. I know, it might not even be a huge money maker, but it could be something that's great for paintball. And who knows, if you can find the right way to capture it and film it, maybe that can bring a good return, right?
Yeah, that was always the coolest event. Like, I mean, World Cup is dope, but like HB was, man,
you're on the beach,
just slightly above it,
You're just, I mean, it's crazy. You play paintball on the beach. The ocean is right there. You're just on the beach. Dude. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, we're going to dive into the PTG World Discord questions here. Marsh, you want to take the first one since you've been looking?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a question from our boy Jordan, and I know we talked about this a little bit on episode the first one that you came on, episode 11, but figured we'll touch on it again because I actually like this topic. But is there any significance to number 11?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know you brought that up early. We were talking about numerology. Essentially, is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
the power of numbers, and do numbers have meaning? Oh fuck. So I believe that a lot of things have meaning that we don't understand. I know I've hit on that a few times in the podcast up until this point. And the number 11 originally for me was actually a tribute to Oliver Lang, because he was number 2 towards the tail end of his career. Right. So I called up our team manager to change my number to number 11, to number 2, not knowing that Alex's number was 2, because I don't know. I just didn't know that. So he goes, no, that won't work because Alex is 2. So I was like, oh shit. All right. Well, Alex isn't changing his number. So I was like, well, you know what? If I do 11, it'll be, like Roman numeral for 2, like I, which is 2 in Roman numerology. Yeah. Roman numerals. And so then I went back, like, I don't know. I started looking up what the number 11 means. And you know what, just to save it's been a long time since I've explained this, but I'm just going to Google it real quick.
Yeah.
That's all right with you.
No, you're absolutely right, man. 11 is it's like a master number, double numbers, triple numbers. Yeah.
All right. Moreover, quite like number 1, the number 11 is inspiring, artistic, and spiritual. The natural impulse and the numerology meaning of number 11 is to try and understand the mystical and the meta. This is why they are called the psychic master and the master among men, which I don't know that I've quite read that exact definition before. But if I were to have a number that I would be proud to wear that has some sort of significance or meaning, it sounds like one I would be very proud of. And I didn't even pick it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it picked me.
It picked you. Opinion. Yeah, I remember you saying that on the first episode.
Dude, I love that. Shout out to number 11.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I haven't remembered that thought in a long time, but it is like one of my favorite things that ever happened in my career was changing my number. Again, I didn't really even pick it. But I love that story.
Yeah. I remember us talking about numbers because 11, 22, and 33, they're all,
baby.
all the master numbers.
Yeah.
And then there's 44. It's not quite a master number. Blake just missed it. Poor Blake.
Obama. Yes, he's got that though. He's got that. He's got a bunker call.
Oh, you said Obama. That's funny. I get it. 44. I said Blake. Poor Blake Yarber. He's 44.
No, I know. I heard. Him and Grayson share that number, but Grayson always did it because of Obama. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. Grayson was 44.
Yeah. They would always, kind of banter about that.
Nice. And then the second part of this question is, when are we going to see more dance moves at the end of points?
Oh man, dude. You've
been slacking there.
No, man, that one is one I am a little disappointed on because I didn't necessarily know when I did that it was gonna be like quite such a hit because it was like it kind of took off for a second and then other people kind of started doing some stuff, but I don't know. I felt like, and again, like if you listen or really understand the way in which I like to play paintball, it's like very much just like a line, right, of emotion, and it just doesn't. I don't like it to really change, because I feel like when you like mastering how to remain calm, in my opinion, will be the best way for you to see and understand what you are doing and what you should be doing in a present moment, right? If you remove the emotion, and don't get me wrong, emotion can be great also in the right moments as well. But I do in general like to think of the way I play paintball as creating and responding to events that are happening as best as I possibly can. And so I know and understand that if I'm going to make the best sound judgments, I would probably rather be pretty even keel most of the time. But a good dance every once in a while, like hard to beat that. Hard to top that. That shit's
hard to top.
Yeah.
Hard to top.
Yeah, I always like when that one comes up on my remember this reel or whatever, because it's funny. And like I got tagged that weekend. It was Vegas in 2019. We lost to Impact by I think 1 point. No, it was 28. It had to be 2018. But anyways, we lost to Impact in the tournament. But like that particular weekend every year, I get just fucking blown up on that.
Well, start working on some new dance moves. We want to see some out here.
I had a few in the repertoire at that moment in time. I mean, I still have them. That was just the one I did. And it was just kind of one of those moments. It was like a game we were really stomping heat. And I kind of pulled off a good move. Like, I think we had gotten both our snake guy shot out, and I like snuck in and made a good blind shot and then ran down and shot the last two guys. And it was just like, I was feeling it right then and there for sure.
Yep.
You did control myself.
Emotion takeover.
You did the old Elvis Presley hip thrusters on him. You got him.
Yeah.
All right. So we got young Stevie in the house. We were talking about Project G, and he was wondering if you guys have anything new that you're working on, or what's a stretch goal as well that you guys have for Project G?
So we do have new stuff that we are working on. We have a couple different things coming. Like we've got one thing for sure coming in the first quarter. Well, actually, no, two things coming in the first, either by the end of the year or the first quarter for sure. And then next year, we're working on a big project. We've been working on it for a while now, but it looks like we're getting to the light there.
Nice.
And that one's going to be, I'll just say it's going to be another marker. And we're really looking forward to it, to be honest with you. It's not an Eclipse one. Obviously we're about to get the Eclipse guns that we've been working on. We're about to get a big batch of those. And then we're going to be working on a new Eclipse one soon too, but that won't be probably till later in 2022. But we are working on a big project with another manufacturer, so that one's going to be a pretty big one. Yeah,
and you
guys will see it once we're kind of getting a little bit closer.
Cool. Yeah, he said Project G is a great brand. The exclusivity creates hype and desire, and that's a great path that he appreciates that you're carving within the industry. So kudos to you for that from young Stevie.
That's actually something I did forget to touch on that is like, when you guys know this, like when you guys start PTG, you don't quite realize how ingrained and how much of the fabric you're going to fuck with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, thankfully we have a little bit better understanding now, but like, dude, we've had so many people like just be grateful, thankful, appreciative of what we're doing. And like, that's totally just a super awesome best part bonus.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't ever know how things are going to happen before we do them. And like, to get the reception that we get, and like people like that are just all about it, get it,
yeah,
want to support it. Like, bro, that's like, it's just like, not that I need a pat on the back, but dude, it's nice to get a pat on the back. It's fucking badass, you know? And it's nice to have these relationships with people that you see. When I get to walk up and I'm like, I'm at the air station at a 10-man event, and I'm like, yo, what's up? You know? And then I'm like, what's your fucking name? You know what I mean? All right, cool. I'm remembering you now. You know what I mean? Like, so shit like that. Like, that's really the epitome of this whole community thing we're all talking about in paintball. It's fucking badass. So being a part of that, being able to kind of lean on it a little bit and influence a little bit, is just like icing on the cake.
Absolutely, man.
100%. All right. This next question is from the Dorfster. He wants to know, he says, what is the hardest thing about balancing being best friends and being a team leader on such a dominant team like X Factor? As someone who's trying to build their own X Factor glory story with my team SoCal Blaze, what's the best way to navigate through that hardship?
Okay. Well, one, I appreciate, you wanting and having a goal in mind already, because that's already like way beyond most, you know what I mean? As far as like navigating the friendship versus like creating a real, like, what I consider X Factor to be is like kind of formulated as like the way Dynasty was, like we were a group of friends that really kind of stuck through it all and stayed together and became a pro team and a formidable pro team, and then won pro tournaments. And like, that's not really how the story goes for a lot of pro teams. And like, that was always the goal for X Factor. And we stayed true to it. And like, honestly, man, like the way to do it, it's not like easy, and it's even hard to explain. But like, when we were young, bro, we were friends, but we were working our asses off, and it's like, having that kind of chip on the shoulder, like I don't carry that chip anymore, but like back then when you were coming into the league as nobodies and just a bunch of little kids, against the status quo, like we just took it as a challenge, and we said, you know what, like, let's figure this shit out. And we really did work our butts off, like, as far as like staying friends, the good part about it is like, I think when you're a little bit younger and you don't have much expected of you, it's easier to be like in that kind of like, we're fucking off having fun all the time, no matter what, it's when it gets serious is when that gets harder to do. You know what I mean? Like when you've been on a team that's established and has won and expects to win and has guys that are, there's a budget involved, and we're all adults and we're all giving up our weekends and a good part of our minds and hours of thought into this, dude. Honestly, that's when it gets hard. And that's why a lot of teams don't ever win, because it's harder to do it then. It's easier when you're young and brash and full of energy and full of life and full of that, like, I got to prove these guys wrong. It's harder when you've been doing it, bro. And it's fucking, the level's getting harder and harder and harder. And guess what? There's like, some other teams that got bigger budgets that are always going to be tough to beat, and you're in your set of circumstances, and you can't even use that as an excuse. You just have to use it as motivation, right? That's when it gets harder. And ultimately, like, dude, I commend you for, again, having the goal and even thinking about asking a question like that, because that to me says you're already farther than most.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Shout out to Russell. Yeah. 100%.
All right. We got Chris Young. He was talking about the 2 new pickups at the last event. He said, they were a breath of fresh air. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Do you plan on keeping them around with Colt coming back? I guess that's the main question there.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, and again, like, the one thing about X Factor is, like, typically we don't, well, one, I will say this, like, we don't pick up people unless we intend to have them for a while. Like,
of course,
that's like, we're never about the short-term solution ever, really. Like, that's never a strong play, in my opinion. But the other thing that bodes really great for the team in general is that they're also both local guys. So, I mean, like, those guys balled out. And, dude, trust me when I say, like, that wasn't shocking to me or anybody else really on the team. Like, it really wasn't. Like, we know those guys can ball. And then, again, also one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is, like, you know, like, you kind of play within the set of rules you create yourself in, right? And so, like, a guy's in a D3 or like a D2 team or semi-pro team, he's going to play like within that level of circumstances. Well, you give a kid like a really talented, strong player the opportunity to play with X Factor or Dynasty, you know, like, a lot of times you're basically like allowing that guy to become whoever he can become. You know what I mean? And like, those two guys, in my opinion, were just feeling really confident and comfortable playing with the team that everybody knows X Factor is. And thankfully, that actually helped the old team X Factor out quite a bit. You know what I mean? And I commend them for that. And I appreciate them doing that, because it's a lot easier to say to do that than it is to do it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but ultimately, like, everybody has that opportunity, man.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. It's whether or not you allow your thoughts to own you, or if you allow your thoughts to embrace what you're going to do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Channel it. You got to channel that.
Yeah. I know you know about that shit, you know?
You got to channel it.
100%.
Absolutely. All right. So we got from OJ, since we're talking about the new players, I figured this is a fitting question to follow up. How do you bring in new players to an established organization and manage the overall team without, 1, upsetting other members, 2, keeping the new guys from being overwhelmed, and 3, ensuring they get up to speed with the way things are done?
You know, that's a really good question, and there's a lot of ways to answer it. So as far as bringing in a new guy to an established team, all right, that's always a little bit tricky, because 1, you've got to get them up to speed, because more than likely they're not certainly on page with every call and scenario and kind of the way the way things go within an organization, because every team is slightly different in that aspect, right? So, you know, let's just say for some reason you decide there's a kid that you think, or, you know, guy, whatever, them, that you think could add to your team. You bring them in for a certain set of reasons. Most likely, you've got an idea on why you want to bring them into your organization, right? In my opinion, setting clear, defined roles from the get-go is very advantageous to the team and to the player, because they know what you're looking for. They know what you're asking of them to do.
Absolutely.
And when that's clearly defined, bro, I love definitions, because they set the rules. You know what you're after, bro. Define shit. Define shit in your life. Define what you fucking literally want to do and when you wake up. Define that shit. Define what you want to do this week, next month, next year, next fucking 10 years. Define that shit, man, because when you define it, you might actually be fucking nutty enough to go fucking get it.
Yeah.
What you want, right? So you define what you're looking for. Allow that person to fill that role. By defining it, you really do allow that person to fucking come in full bore, right? All right. Now, within other guys on the team, maybe like being a little frazzled about bringing in new guys, this is the one piece of advice that I can't stress enough, dude. You want better guys on your team. The only guys that don't want good guys on their team are guys that suck, because they're worried about shit. There's nothing to be worried about good guys being on your team. You know why? Because they're going to force you to be better. Isn't that what we're after? Everybody wants to be the best. How the hell are you going to be the best if you're fucking worried about somebody taking your time? No, dude. I want to fucking fight for my time, right? Because that's going to bring the best out of me. It's like that other side of that. I'm like, it's hard for me to fathom that level of thought, because it's cancerous thought. It's not helpful for yourself or for the team. You know, like, get out of that mode. You got to be oh, fuck yeah. A great player. Hell yeah. We're all fighting for spots. Hell yes. That's going to create a better fucking team, including a better you, if you welcome it.
That's power. That's sheer power.
Seriously.
Mic drop right there.
Sheer power,
one, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
All right. So we got Chris Tucker. We already went over the hike with Nick. He was talking about that. The IG stories looked amazing, he said. And he said, when are you ever going to stream something other than PUBG? He wants to see some other streams coming out.
Unfortunately. So So I will say this: there might come a time in the next year that I might stream something else, but it won't be a video game. And I'm not going to tell.
It's going to be paintball. That's part of your idea that paintball players haven't touched.
Shit, this guy. Maybe not that either.
Here we go.
But in all reality, I will answer like, I know what he's getting at on that question, but the reality is, like, honestly, I don't play video games very much anymore.
Yeah.
And like, I used to stream PUBG on Twitch, and like, honestly, it was for a while there. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of, like, me and Grayson would play a lot.
Oh yeah,
it was
good.
Fun and great, and like, I enjoy it, and it's good. Like, also, like, kind of little mental, you know what I mean? You're having to keep track of things in a quick amount of time, which is relatable, right? But I just don't get to play very much anymore. And now, like, there's a new game every week, so like, for me to even try to learn a new game, like, it's just like, I'd rather I'll stay in my lane, play some PUBG that I can pretty much play and enjoy for a long time now, and just do that thing, because I really don't play much anymore. I mean, I think in the last 3 months, I've probably played like 5 hours or less. Yeah. So it's just like,
well, now I'm curious, because I know you're going to be streaming something, and now I'm super curious what that's going to be. So I'm excited.
Paintball. It's going to be paintball. What do you mean? It's going to be paintball.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, it might be something else. Maybe something else.
It might be something else.
It might be something else. Okay, I got one more question here. Again, a lot of these questions we definitely already touched on. So to sum it up, from Kaylin, favorite pregame music or ritual?
I like that question. It's really simple for me, dude. And I kind of talked about it a little bit, but I like to set in a very calm, like, mental state. I would almost call it meditating a little bit, but I like to set my intention for a match. And it's really about, and I like to, it's funny because I also just talked about this. I like to set my intention for the match, and I like to define what I'm going to do in it straight up. I know I'll get my, like, let's just say the play, like, what for the general flow of the match. Like, I have an idea what I'm going to be doing in every match, but like right before every match, I'll go talk to Ryan, and we've got, let's say, our dossier, and I want to know what it is. And then within that set of constructs that we decided to go with, the plans that we're electing to move forward with, I try to get in tune and define what I'm going to do or what I want to do out there. And again, by doing that, I allow myself to naturally flow into it, and I don't have to think about much. I'm just flowing into it. But I've spent a lot of time thinking about that.
So no music?
No music, very rarely. Every once in a while. Like, I will say this: before Chicago in particular was one of the few tournaments I listened to music. But the music I listened to is definitely a very meditative state type of music. It was East Forest.
Yeah,
it's actually I don't know. Do you guys know who that is?
No, I'm curious though. I'm gonna look into it.
So East Forest, he is an artist. It's mostly like, it's really not really any lyrics. It's mostly like
instrumental type stuff.
Instrumental stuff, but it's actually like used in a lot of psychedelic assisted therapies or psychedelic adventures, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's really, honestly, really good music, perfect for setting some intention and defining some time. So for that reason, I chose to listen to that at that moment. And honestly, it was because I felt called to it in the days coming up to Chicago.
Yeah, music is powerful for meditation.
Dude, time machine, man.
Absolutely, it is time machine. So the last one that we have, last question, is kind of an interesting one. It's Shadow from PTG World. Do you know the scoop on the haunted railroad tracks in San Antonio? Have you heard of these railroad tracks?
No, man. At some point or another, I have heard the story.
Yeah,
but I don't recall it. And because haunted anything in Texas is a thing. There's actually a haunted hotel literally 3 blocks from me.
Oh, wow.
It's actually a very famous hotel here in downtown Austin.
Yeah.
It's on 6th Street, which is like the Bourbon Street of Austin. But no, and even right, like literally a couple blocks away from me, they do these like haunted tours where they just like take you around and tell you the stories of all the stuff. But like, I don't particularly vibe with like the haunted, like, I don't know. To me,
not my thing.
I'm like, why would I want to think about that? So I don't. My girl is over there like, hey, let's watch a really scary movie. I'm like, I want to just like sleep in peace, you know? I don't know. It's just funny, but I get why it's a thing.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm with you there. It is interesting. Happy Halloween time to everybody out there as well. We're coming up on
it's about to be
some Halloween here, and everybody stay safe out there during the Halloween season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, fellas, we went the distance on this one.
Yes, we did.
Dude, I'm almost like a little surprised because I was telling myself beforehand, I was like, we could go the distance, but I think last time we did it like in an hour and a half or something, and it was great like the whole way through. But like, dude, I really felt like we didn't slow down. We just kept fucking punching.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a good one.
We got.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys a lot. Like, seriously, doing this is cool as fuck. Coming in here to share space, talk about it, communicate with like other people. Like, I know tomorrow's going to be cool too. Cause like people are going to take something from whatever we're talking about, which is always a bonus, you know?
Absolutely.
But yeah,
thank you, kid.
Like, I appreciate it.
Dude, we appreciate you. And once again, thanks for everything you've done in the game. We can't wait to have you back on in 100 episodes for episode number 211.
We'll find a way.
Yeah. We're not going to wait that long. Honestly, these are the best episodes now. The ones after you've already been on and we've gone through the story, like where we could just hang out and have a conversation. It's like, I'm so excited to move into that portion of PTG where we really just get to continue these great conversations. And like you said, share space with the other innovators in the industry and just, hang out with our buds and talk and shoot the shit. It's really cool.
That's it. That's it, dudes.
Dope. Thank you guys, everybody out there, listening, supporting PTG. I dig it. I'm going to get in on the Discord too. Cause I'm very curious about this weather mod stuff. Is like, I'm peaked now, man. I'm really interested.
And then,
we'll get it in there.
Before you leave, is there anybody that, your sponsors, anybody you'd like to thank, or any plugs for your Instagrams and all that?
Yeah. So the one that I try to emphasize a lot on, because I really can't say it enough. Alex Martinez, like, totally went above and beyond what was necessary for him to do to give a bunch of kids in Texas a place to play, and not only that, but like a breeding ground to get better. And like, we all owe him, like, we're forever indebted, because like the memories and I could not be where I'm at now, like at a totally evolved state from where I was, had it not been for a guy like Alex taking us under his wing and giving us everything we needed to thrive. And that's a fact. Like, a lot of us really do owe a shitload to him. And I think, it's always easy to, like, when you've been around something for a long time, to kind of take it for granted or forget about it. But like, the one thing I'd make sure to hammer on, dude, is like, dude, Alex is the fucking man. He's always gonna be the man. Definitely somebody I will always look up to. And I appreciate everything he's done for me and our team. Cause like, we have a cool ass fucking story, and it's all because of him. Everything of it is because of him. He owns a great fucking paintball park that he built for us. And that field is one of the best parks in the country.
Yes, it is.
You go around and look at other badass parks, they look just like X Factor Park looked like 10 years ago, right? Fact.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Outside of that, JT and the GI conglomerate, thank you guys so much. They give us great equipment, great gear. It's Core Action Sports, I think now. But yeah, we use their paint and their soft goods and gear. And we've been doing that for like a very long time now. We're really grateful for that. And, a lot of times, like, you guys know how it is, man. Equipment is really like, you live and die by that sword. So we're really happy with the stuff we've had for a very long time. Planet Eclipse, obviously we're shooting their guns, and they're great guns for a long time. I mean, Eclipse has been making top edge gear for, almost 20 years now, with their first, like, the E-Blade, essentially, which really put them on the map.
Yeah.
So long ago. It's kind of incredible to believe their story too. It's kind of like the HK story. It's just nutty.
Yeah.
And then we got Dye with our rotors, and then trying trying to think if I'm missing anything, but I think that's the gist of it. And then also, like, thank you guys all to the project supporters. Really appreciate that. Our goal is really to keep producing limited high-end gear, keep having a relationship with you guys, and hopefully getting some of our limited gear in more of y'all's hands, because I know that's kind of the trade-off when you're doing limited stuff. So y'all be patient. We've got more stuff coming and in the works, and we're just excited to get it all out to you guys.
Dude, that's rad.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, hey, thank you, Kid, for coming on the show. We can't wait to see you soon. I'll see you next weekend, actually, at practice,
Amen.
and then
that's right.
We'll keep having some fun.
All right, I'll tell you the train track story next week.
All right, I can't wait.
All right, guys, have a good night, man. Thanks again. That was epic.
You too,
Absolutely,
brother.
Arch.
Peace.
Later. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. As always, if you would like, you could head over to ptgpaintball.com, check out our website, and if you would like to support the show, you can sign up for our Patreon. We would be incredibly grateful. It will give you access to the Discord. As you know, the Discord is amazing. It's lit. Even Archie knows it. Apparently, he's going to be in there. We're going to send him the ad code, the ad link. We're going to send him the private password to hop in there and hang out with us. And, you know, we would love to see you guys in there as well. Our website is brought to you by Rusty Glaze at Constant Pursuit. If you guys need a website done, Rusty is your guy. He's the man. He's fantastic with it. So, PTG World, PTG fam, again, thank you guys so much. We love you guys and girls, everybody out there. So thankful for you all. And as always, we will see you very soon.